allows schools to directly pay athletes for their name, image, and likeness. And according to multiple reports, LSU guard Haley Van Lith is transferring to TCU.
It's time. You know what time it is. The game for Tuscaloosa's longest running sports show.
The biggest goal of our team,
especially in the first half,
we at Bama, we're trying to be the best. Always is to win a national championship.
Something cool to look back on.
We don't want to waste a failure.
You're inside the game.
John Mechie on the ground.
Appreciate your interest in the game.
On your home for Alabama sports.
And Alabama wins.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. And now, here's your award-winning host, Ryan Fowler.
And big good afternoon to you. Welcome into the game. No, it's been a great day. It's been a great day. We're going to have some fun. We're going to sit back for the next 4 hours. Got a big show lined up for you. We're going to feature Aaron Torres coming up in a couple of minutes. We'll talk some basketball with him. We'll dive into a couple different things with him, and we'll talk transfer portal. There's a lot of things out there that really, I think, create some fun discussions here, and we're going to do that today. I got a couple things I've been kind of saving back a little bit. We'll go back to A-Day, and we'll spend some time with Aaron Torres. Aaron Torres sent me a photo. Drew and I, as we're in the press box, sending us a photo of him watching the A-Day game. He said that he never sleeps, right? There is never an off season. You always... And that will be one of the discussions that we'll get into today. And I always enjoy getting feedback from you, okay? We're about to start an off season. We're about 135 days, and you'll blink, and summer will be here, and you'll blink again, and media days will be here out in Arlington, Texas, and then you'll blink again, and fall camp will start, and then we'll get ready to go into this first season with Kalen DeBoer. And there's a couple things that I want to discuss, because I've always looked at the off season. No way, if you would believe this or not, I have experienced more growth in the offseason on this radio show than probably during the season. Now, during the season, you bring a lot of people in, right? You do, and the show grows. You have plenty of topics. But I've often said during the offseason, you get a chance to stretch your legs a little bit. Now, is it harder? Absolutely. Sure. You got to be able to create some conversation because I know that you're sitting on the edge of the fence. You're wanting to participate. And we're going to try to give you a reason to do that. But as we do in the next couple of days, kind of throw out some things and some people that you want to hear me feature because I've got a pretty good database. I've been doing radio in Tuscaloosa for quite a while. And the database is pretty lengthy. It's something that just starting out, it was a challenge. And then as you build relationships and you start featuring other radio people, you go on their show and it's almost like a little bit of a trade. We'll do that throughout the summer. But, if you want to throw out a recommendation, we'd love to write those down. But also I want to dive into a couple of different things. Pro Football Focus put up a poll and it said Kalen DeBoer is blank top, and the blank was there, top coach in college football. It's the way it labeled. And so I got to spend some time thinking about that. And before all this Alabama fatigue kicks in, because it will happen, especially if Kalen DeBoer wins in year number one, the dislike or the hatred or whatever word you want to use, the Bama fatigue, it will be out there. But as ProFootballFocus.com, I got to take their graphic, and it says Kalen DeBoer is a top blank head coach in college football. So let's start with just a couple of minutes, okay? Who would you put at the top? Kirby Smart? Easy. Is that right? Kirby Smart? Who would you counter at second? Do you give Dabo any credibility? He's won a couple of national titles. It has drifted on him. Can he get it back where they're competing now with 12-team playoffs, right? Does that give it the easier way to get there? We've always known him as an elite recruiter, but is Dabo at that number 2 spot? Now, you start comparing credentials, you start comparing top 25 wins. Where does Kalen DeBoer slide in? Where would you slide him in? This is Pro Football Focus that put this kind of poll up and said, where is Kalen DeBoer? You go back and look at his record, okay? You could also counter and you could say Sark. Hold on, Sark is a guy. First time he won double-digit wins was last year, right? Wasn't that the first time that he coached a double-digit wins season? I think it was. Got to go back and look, but I think it was. And also, do you know who he lost twice to? Kalen DeBoer. So as you look, I think even if you ask Digger to participate, which he hates Alabama. I get it. But if you ask him, I think he would say Kalen DeBoer's a top 5 coach. Is he a top 2 coach? Is he a top 3 coach? You have to look at Kirby Smart. National champions mean something, especially from a town like Tuscaloosa. We know a lot about national titles. When you look at Kirby's at that number 1 spot, is it fair? Anybody would argue with that number 1 spot? I don't think so. But if you want to make a case, do that. And I do think that times have changed a little bit. And, we talked about Coach Saban's system, and maybe it was, I don't know if you want to use the word wearing thin, but it's changing. It changed. College football changed. His system definitely worked. We saw 9 SEC titles and 6 national titles. But as the adjustment began to kind of adjust in this current transfer portal that we live in, here we are. Does the system that Kirby took from Tuscaloosa and applied to Athens, can he make an adjustment over there? We know his age. He's very similar to Kalen DeBoer as far as age. Is that more relatable to the younger generation? Is that system of screaming and Kirby Smart is a guy that is, very, very, very loud football coach. We used to go out on the football field, you'd hear him all the way across, very similar to what Nick Saban does. I mean, there's a lot of screaming and yelling, and really the biggest difference that I saw back this spring was more of a coachable, teachable. They're having fun. They got music and all that, but I mean, don't think it's not intense, because Nick Saban, I think, did 14 periods at practice. They're doing 25 periods. So it is not just like, hey, it's a cup of cake over here. Yeah, there may be a little different time and all those different things, but 14 periods, they did 25. I talked to some people that worked some of these practices, and they pretty much said it is nonstop. The amount of work that they get done in a couple of hours is not even in comparison to what Nick Saban. So just don't think, hey, they're out here having a club, Alabama or whatever you want to say, Club Hackberry Lane, which is where the practice facility's off. It's not all about that. But where would you put Kalen DeBoer? Is he the second best football coach in the country? If he's not second, where is he? We'll take your calls. We'll do Travis Trent tickets again today. We've got Aaron Torres. We're going to talk a little basketball with him. We've got Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com, the editor, the founder of the incredible website. We'll talk with him coming up at 3:30. And then we've got a new guest today that we are going to feature. He was inside that building just a couple of days ago. We take you to a guy that is on 3, the hard count on 3. It is J.D. Pickle. He is going to join us coming up at 4 o'clock. And if you've never heard J.D. break a game down, it's really fun. I mean, he's a guy that played college ball. He's a guy that can help us talk a little football, but he was inside that building, did one of the national interviews late last week, and we're going to dive into it with J.D. coming up at 4 o'clock. We'll have a chance to feature him. We'll take your phone calls, 205-342-9904. 205-342-9904. You can also tweet at us at Ryan C. Fowler on the Twitter account at The Game on 100.9. We are always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Skyline Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. Buy 3 tires, 4th tire for only $1. It is Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. We are now 135 days away, brought to you by Alabama Credit Union. 135 days away. We're counting down the start of Alabama. And I think we're going to learn a little bit more. This is one of the things that will be different about this offseason. Because there will be some media access, there will be some assistant coaches, there will be SEC spring meetings, and you're probably going to have a little bit more availability, and that will give us plenty of content. So I look ahead at this upcoming offseason, maybe a little different than we've had in the past, because it used to go silent, right? You would go a day, you'd have a small media availability, and we say small, 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes down at SEC spring meetings, but now with the Tide on the Tour. What is that called now? It's Tide Tour, where they're touring different spots, and it'll be Nate Oates and Greg Byrne and Kalen DeBoer, and they're stopping. I think it starts on the 27th. It'll be down in Orange Beach. Then they're going to North Alabama, and you can get your tickets at RollTide.com and also be a part of that Yay Alabama. So
Tide on Tour.
Tide on Tour. Okay, so it used to be called Crimson Caravan. I think it was something else prior to that, but so you'll have media access there. You'll have media availability that there will be a discussion. as Kalen DeBoer kind of gets to know these Alabama Crimson Tide fans. And I've already had people tell me, hey, I can't wait to go to Orange Beach because, we have a lot of listeners down there. Robert in Mobile, get out of that kitchen. He said he's been remodeling that kitchen for a few months. Go down and see Kalen DeBoer next Saturday evening down in Orange Beach. I will be down in that area coming up in a few days. And you never know, I might swing in there and see exactly what's on their mind. I'm sure they'll do some type of media availability. So hopefully we can have a little chance to see exactly what that is, and also to get the Yay Alabama Collective as it continues to grow. And I know Trip Powell and Jay doing a great job of trying to facilitate this and trying to make it more competitive when you look at the University of Alabama. Aaron Torres breaks down basketball. Where is Alabama going? Can they rebound? We'll ask him coming up in a couple of minutes. Aaron Torres at 2:15. We'll talk Rodney Orr at 3:30, and then we'll talk to J.D. Pickle coming up at 4 p.m. right here on the game. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
Tuscaloosa police officers breached into an empty apartment last night after a caller threatened to commit double murder-suicide. The threat proved to be staged and no one was home or injured. Workers at the Mercedes automotive plant in Tuscaloosa will vote on whether to join the United Auto Workers Union during a week-long period next month. And the city's third Guthrie's Fried Chicken restaurant is open now in the same place where one used to stand on Skyland Boulevard. For the details on these stories and more, get connected.
I'm pulling them off. 24/7 U.S.-based customer service. It pays to Discover. Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/credit card.
DreamlandBBQ.com. Dreamland Barbecue since 1958. Coach Bryant arrived at the University of Alabama. So did Dreamland with Big Daddy's Barbecue Hickory Smoke Ribs. If you're talking about catering for that big tailgate, or maybe it's just that family gathering or that small office party, you can do it at either location. You can also order online. Carry out, curbside pickup, delivery are now available. It is DreamlandBBQ.com. We do our score prediction every Tuesday and Wednesday, made possible by Dreamland. That wonderful hickory smoked barbecue ribs. How about the Big Daddy barbecue sandwich? Those wings are underrated. They're one of the best in town. You'll find them there. How about those barbecue baked potatoes? Absolutely. Either location
within 30 miles. And if they don't have what you need, they'll get it. Cypress Supply, 2036 62nd Avenue, Tuscaloosa. Cypress-supply.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A warm afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds, a few scattered showers and storms are possible through the evening hours. The high today 86, the low tonight 65. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, a few scattered showers or storms are possible. The high 83. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 79 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Where the legends of Alabama football hang out.
McCarron, draw play. Lacey, huge hole. Touchdown. Yep. Alabama touchdown.
The Game with Ryan Fowler. Your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
This morning, I negotiated a big deal because Aaron Torres, like just a lot of the players out here, he called me up and he said, "Hey, I got a big situation here. I got a thing that I got to look at the transfer portal. Auburn's trying to recruit me, and we call this the Ricky Henderson spot, 215." And I said, "No. I understand they have a sports talk radio show over there. I don't know what they cover." But we're going to ante it up. We're going to pony up the cash. We're going up. If that's what it takes to get Aaron Torres to stay out of that transfer portal, then that's what it's going to take. Aaron Torres, Fox Sports national analyst. Aaron Torres online. Aaron Torres podcast. Torres, how are you, man? Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
of course, the irony was I literally was on with Texags, your buddies over there in College Station, when you called me this morning. So, listen, I guess I get around. But listen, I'll tell you what. Tiger 100.9 down in Lee County comes after me. No. Listen, I'll always have my agent get in touch with you. There's a leveraging ploy. But, yeah, go ahead.
No, we have audio clips where you called in the tractor drivers, so we will send that to them. We can counter.
True.
Yeah, so we can counter this a couple of different ways.
Don't tell Bruce Pearl or Hugh Freeze, who are both our friends. I don't know if they're friends, but they've both been on my podcast. I hope that audio doesn't get out. I feel like a politician right now. There's something from my past that's coming out that I need to keep under wraps. So maybe I'm going to be the one paying you when it's all said and done to keep that audio under wraps. But that is true. I think I have said that once or twice on your airwaves.
Just once or twice, but trust me, it's in good hands. Noah, he sabotages me all the time. He records me. Does your producer record you during the break and replay stuff? Like he does. Like he'll get me to say something and he'll record it and then he plays it like it's for the audience. I guess there's such thing always, a hot mic is what we're always told in this business. And if Noah's your producer, you'll definitely have a hot mic because you never know what I'm going to say during the breaks and be like, that is one crazy son of a gun. And then he recorded it and plays it right back. So
I believe that's what they call blackmail, extortion. I'm not sure which one. But
yes, I agree.
That sounds like it could be technically illegal. But, listen, hey, if you you're the boss. If you don't have a problem with Noah recording you and then using it against you in the future, that's fine. But if Noah, if that audio of me as a tractor driver ever gets out, I might have to have my legal counsel reach out to Tide 100.9.
Well, I have fun during the break. Sometimes I sing bumper songs. You got to stay energized, right? Don't you? What do you do during break?
Actually, it's funny. I'm the exact opposite. I really like to decompress during breaks, and my producers sometimes they won't even see me. Like probably about 3 weeks ago, I did a show and the girl on the board said, "Torres, you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm great." Why? She's like, "Well, you never came in to check, to say hi during the breaks." And I like to decompress, and it's funny because we have some hosts on air, and I don't know how much you've done with other if you've done shows with co-hosts, but there's a couple guys I love at Fox Sports Radio, but when you work. If you're talking about whatever, Alabama versus Georgia, who's number one, they'll take the conversation in the break. It's like, no. We just did 11, 12 minutes on that. I need to decompress. We can talk about that on the other side. So there's a couple guys I love, but it's like, dude, conversation's over. Torres needs to not talk here for 3-4 minutes. And then actually, I'll tell you some really inside baseball, but you can't share this and don't have Noah. This is definitely blackmail material. But last Saturday, I got home, long day. We did, great show last Saturday. And my wife just starts talking to me. And I gave, one-word answers to everything. And I wasn't trying to be rude. She's like, "Why are you so mad?" I'm like, "I'm not mad. I talked for the last 4 hours. I'm tired." And I'm not going to lie, I led into a little kerfuffle between Mr. and Mrs. T. We got over it pretty quick. But, definitely don't use that against me. But there are times where... love what we do. We're grateful. I don't ever want it. There's a lot of hardworking people out there. What we get to do is fun. But at the same time, it's like, you talking to Mike for 3-4 hours and you got to be on your P's and Q's. It mentally kind of drains you pretty quickly by the end of a show.
Absolutely. And Noah will tell you, every other break I go to the bathroom, every other break I go get some water. And he can verify this.
Smallest bladder in sports radio.
Smallest bladder in sports talk radio right here, baby. Not number one breakdown. I've got the number one smallest bladder in sports talk radio right here.
Wow. Do you get a trophy for that? I know they give out awards.
Could be. it could be something we could use in the future. I think it could be. It could be an option.
You're not first, you're last. Bobby, Bricky Bobby.
I'm sorry. There are a lot of things that went through my head. Anyway, Torres, is this portal been smaller than maybe what or maybe just, I thought we were going to have fireworks all over this portal, and I haven't really seen it in the college football side. We can certainly talk about basketball, but on the football side, I haven't seen any fireworks.
Well, it's funny. You must have been listening to me on Texags. Dave Nuno asked me the same exact question. Listen, there's always hysteria, right? I think this is about the 7th or 8th portal cycle in a row that it seems like there's going to be chaos. Now, after the season, there's always just going to be more players, but Ryan, let's be honest. And, we always talk about the negative of, too much player movement, but we also have to be honest. A lot of times, especially in the December portal cycle in football, it's processing. It's getting players out that you don't want anymore so you can get players in that you do want. And so what I tend to find, and I truly mean this, is the winter portal cycle generally is one of three categories in terms of guys that enter. It's either players at schools where their coach got fired, like at Texas A&M had a huge group go in. And by the way, players should. I've always, even though I'm not an advocate of unlimited transfers, I've always believed if the coach that recruits you leaves, you shouldn't be obligated to stay at the school. So in general, in the spring, in the wintertime in football, it's either players whose coach just got fired, a lot of mid-major guys, group of 5 guys that are looking for, frankly, a bigger payday. Again, that's their prerogative. That's fine. And then, frankly, the guys that generally leave from Georgia, Alabama, USC, schools like that, when there isn't a coaching change, are generally guys that aren't good enough. I mean, even you go back to the last portal cycle, Ohio State's quarterback enters the portal, and it's hysteria for people who don't cover the sport. Oh, my God, they were just playing to go to the playoff, and now their quarterback's leaving. And it's like, as somebody who covers Ohio State, as somebody in the know, that kid got forced out. Ryan Day basically looked the kid in the eye and said, you're not good enough. We're going in another direction. Now, we could talk about is that fair? Is that right? Is that wrong? And that's the reality on both ends of college football right now. And so this is all a long-winded way of me saying that every single time the portal opens, there is always a hysteria that all these players are going to enter, and so far it's been pretty quiet. Doesn't mean that things can't change over the next 10 days or so or however long this portal is open, but in general, this is exactly what it's been. And I think, by the way, really quickly, and I'll toss it back to you, I think what it really is a lot of times coaches just kind of making sure, hey, wait a second now, let's make sure our financials are in order. This is a pay-for-play world. And I think a lot of times when you hear the hysteria, it's coaches trying to rally their fan base to say, hey, if you want to keep the talented players in this locker room, it might cost you a little bit of money. And I think we've seen a lot of that the last couple of days.
Torres, Pro Football Focus put out a little bit of a poll, and it was kind of simple, but it's something I'd like to discuss a little bit today.
That's important.
Yeah. Well,
it's good for me.
But
simple man.
Well, but it kind of makes you think a little bit, okay? Kirby Smart's best coach in college football currently right now. Is that a fair statement? Kirby Smart?
Yeah, I'd probably say so. I haven't thought about it in a few, but yeah, I would say so. No Nick Saban. I've always been a Harbaugh guy. Yes, so I would say Kirby Smart for sure.
Okay. So where is Kalen DeBoer in your opinion? Is he top 3? Is he top 2? Is he top 5? But we had talked this out, Torres. We could go a couple. All right, so like Dabo. Dabo's won a couple of national titles. Do we let Dabo slide? Or is he a top 5 coach in your opinion? And we can debate.
And it's really interesting. And I don't want to make this about basketball. I know you know that I love basketball, but this was a conversation we had in basketball where it's like, okay, congrats to Tom Izzo on winning a national title a million years ago. I'd rather have Nate Oates right now today if I'm starting a program. Congrats to John Calipari. I'd rather have Nate Oates. On and on and on and on and on. And so I just bring it up because from the football perspective, listen, I was blown away by Kalen DeBoer during the course of this season. And the game that really sold me, and we've talked about this, is the the Pac-12 championship game against Oregon, where they were a double-digit underdog as an undefeated team, Brian. We might have talked about this at various points, but I don't know that I ever remember a team that beat another team in the regular season. There were no major injuries. Nothing weird happened, and they played later in the year, and Washington was a double-digit underdog, and they dominated that game. Oh, by the way, the Texas game, 3-4 point underdog. Now, I picked that game because I saw the Oregon game, but it was the same thing. Recruiting rankings. There was nothing on paper that said that Washington should win that game, and they did. And so, so I'd have to go through. I do think Kirby's number one. And I do think, listen, it's hard to gauge, right? I mean, Ryan Day has made multiple playoff appearances. He's won multiple Big Ten championships, but he has struggled the last couple of years. You know, Mike Norvell's on the way up, but he hasn't made a playoff. He hasn't won I guess he won an ACC championship, but he hasn't been in the playoffs. Steve Sarkisian, you know, so I bring it all up to say, now that I'm thinking about it, let me ask you this, because I don't have the list in front of me. I feel like after Kirby Smart at number 2, you can go in a lot of different directions. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
Is there an obvious number 2 that I'm missing?
No, Torres. I think you're spot on it, and I think really where I'm going is the top heavy that it used to be. It's no longer there. Yeah. I mean, you could really throw 2 through 6 in a jug and pull them out, and I don't think you could probably make an argument. I mean, we could make an argument that Dabo's second best coach in college football. Now you could say, well, he hadn't adjusted to the NIL. Okay, but he still has the rings. I mean, he's 170 and 43 at a place that's very hard to win. That's not an easy place to win. And he showed it. He's made it look easier.
No, and you know, listen, and it's a new era, and I think, you know, it's the same in basketball too. And I don't want to make this a basketball conversation. I know we're counting down 135 days to Western Kentucky, so I don't want to dare bring up the round ball. But again, I think in both sports, listen, we just talked about with the portal, this idea of hysteria, right? There was a hysteria with the portal, and it gets figured out. And I think we're seeing the hysteria in coaching circles, right? I mean, what was the big knock on college basketball? Oh, all the legendary coaches have left the game. Coach K and Jay Wright and Roy Williams and Jim Boeheim and this, that, the other thing. And it's like new guys emerge because guess what? Nate Oates hasn't made enough money. He hasn't made $100 million or 70, whatever, you know, Coach K has. I don't know what the number is, but where he can retire. He's got to figure it out. Dan Hurley at UConn has to figure it out. And so I bring it up because from the football perspective, listen, you know, I don't know if Dan Lanning's going to win a national championship. I don't know if he's going to win 5, but he's going to be around for a while. The same with Kalen DeBoer. And I think there was a little bit of what is college football going to look like post Nick Saban. Jim Harbaugh is now back in the NFL. And it's like, you know what? Other guys are going to emerge. And to bring it full circle to your question, outside of Kirby Smart, I think Kalen DeBoer is kind of in that next group of guys that America is going to get to know. We're not going to stop watching college football because Nick Saban isn't the coach at Alabama. We're just going to get to know Kalen DeBoer. We got to know Dan Lanning. You know, Steve Sarkisian's been in the spotlight for many years. So I think it's a new era in both sports, and I think Kalen DeBoer is going to be one of the faces of that new era.
Well, and if you start looking at Kalen DeBoer's record against these top 5 coach, like you could go to Utah, Kyle Whittingham. Okay, well, I mean, you speaks for itself. He's at number 3 according to this list. Dabo's at 4, and then Mike Norvell's at 5. Dan Lanning's at 6, and then Sark's at 7. 8 is Lane Kiffin. 9. I mean, let's just stop there. I mean, we're really in. Well, Ron Day's at 10. Okay, we'll leave him in there. But Ron Day's at 10. A lot of pressure on Ron Day with all the NIL money that they spent in 2023.
I was going to say, well, they're fascinating, and this is another thing that I think. And by the way, this is another story that you and I were on top of years ago. Is I think you get a one-off season grace period in both football and basketball of where. If you don't you need to raise some money because you think that your rival is doing this. By the way, I don't think Michigan was out there buying players. I think they were just better coached than you, but that's neither here nor there. But I think you get one off season, a grace period. And then after that, fans get impatient. The boosters that are writing the checks get impatient. I think that was a big reason why John Calipari ended up leaving Kentucky. And by the way, Eric Musselman, the coach before him, you know, you hear things about he had really burned some bridges there. I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but, you know, I think he thought that he needed a fresh start. John Calipari, the same thing, where I think John Calipari in a pre-NIL era might still be the head coach, but now it's like, well, now you need money for players too. Arkansas's got an unlimited checkbook. You got to go ahead and sign up. And so to bring it to the football side, I think there's a lot of pressure on Ryan Day where I still don't, you know, listen, if you don't make the playoff in the 12-team playoff, then we have a conversation. But I think you can make the playoff, but we know that the standard at Ohio State isn't to just be in the top 12. And so the reason I bring all that up is because if you're Ryan Day, I think you got a little – this is the offseason. You asked, I need. And, Ryan, you just hinted at it. I don't think there's any secret that some of those guys that they brought in came with a high price tag. Well, now you got to deliver, Ryan Day. So that is – I know we're going to spend the next 5 months talking about the biggest storylines going into the fall, but that to me is right among them. Is any grace period that Ryan Day has is done, it's officially go time for him to figure things out.
All right, so let's take it to Arkansas. Because Jerry Jones, according to Trilly Donovan, do you know Trilly?
I've heard that story's a little bit over.
Okay.
He's contributed some money. Jerry Jones, obviously in Arkansas, I think he played there. He did.
He was a part of their national title back in the 60s.
Yeah, I think he donated a little bit of money. I don't think it was double the collective money to get whatever players you want. But no, this is the new world, right? And it's just so crazy. You think about how quickly this world has changed, but again, that's why that job was enticing to John Calipari, is he had every resource imaginable to him. And then, Ryan, I think what's also interesting is the opposite is true as well, is I think there were a lot of people that were done with Calipari that, for lack of a better term, turned off the water on NIL and financial support of the program at Kentucky, that all of a sudden were interested in donating and contributing and being part of the process again with the new coaching staff, obviously the new coach being Mark Pope. There was a report that I do believe was accurate. I know was accurate because the AD said so, which was that they got millions of dollars in donations the day after they announced that Mark Pope, the former player, was the new head coach. So I think this is all part of it. Is now, again.
Is NIL more important, Torres, than coaching?
Well, you still got to get the players there, and you got to win once you get the players. So I would say no. And I think in the perfect world, it's Dan Hurley, the UConn basketball coach, has said it. He said, we never want to lose a guy because of NIL, but we never want to because we're just not adequate enough. But we also don't ever want kids choosing us solely because of NIL. And I think when you get into the a kid is just in it for a bidding war and he's in it for a check, then he's inherently, and by the way, it's a capitalistic society, whatever. But whenever you do something solely for money, rarely is it, the fulfillment that you're looking for. I'm sure you've been offered job opportunities that would pay you way more money, but are way less, maybe not way more money, but more money than what you're doing now, but would be less fulfilling. And so I just bring that up, Ryan, to say that, listen, NIL is here to stay. It's pay for play. Let's call it what it is. It's salary. Let's call it what it is. And I do think, by the way, there's going to be players, especially with this COVID year phasing out, where, hey, I got one more year of eligibility. I'm not going to the NBA. I'm not going to the NFL. Let's get the biggest paycheck that I can. But I think if you're trying to build a program simply by putting together the best roster money can buy without any kind of baseline kind of culture, I still think that is going to struggle. And I think really quickly, and I know I'm going long here, but I think UConn winning it this year, and I'll say this, I think Michigan winning it in football was a great thing for college football because Michigan is a very well-financed program. But again, just look at their roster. I don't think it's a lot of guys who were only at Michigan because they got a big paycheck. The recruiting rankings wouldn't indicate that. The number of players that have developed within that program would indicate that. And so I actually, and this goes back to a conversation we had back in January, I think Michigan winning the national championship was an important moment in time for college football because it kind of showed, hey, it's not just about just stacking 5 stars and there's 2 or 3 schools and nobody else has a chance. You can still recruit, you can still evaluate, you can still develop. I think it's also applicable to UConn basketball this year as well.
All right, but and you're saying in a real world, because, Jerry Jones is 81 years of age. He's at $8.5 billion self-worth, $8.5 billion self-worth.
Must be nice, huh?
That's you don't have to watch the stock market every day. You just, you're there. Especially at 81, you're a couple of steps away from the graveyard anyway, right? It's
wow.
Damn,
shots fired.
Well, he's my Cowboys general manager, and I
know
I'm not pulling for anything to happen, but I've also come to realize that we're probably not going to win a Super Bowl until Jerry kind of steps away, and then here comes Steven, and we'll be, right back in the same situation. But, in reality, will we look at it different if a team like this wins a national title in basketball, football? If they buy their way to the top, will we view it any different in your opinion?
It's tough because, one, first of all, NIL, unlike pro sports, and we've talked about this, there's nothing on the books, right? There's nothing that, we know that Jalen Milroe or Will Howard, the quarterback at Ohio State, is the quote-unquote highest paid player in college football. So, no. And I still think, like let's say Ohio State wins it, right? Did they add some pieces through the portal that made them successful? Yeah, there's a guy named Caleb Downs who's enrolled there right now. But also, Emeka Egbuka, their leading returning receiver, is going to be a 4-year player. Travion Henderson, their leading returning rusher, is going to be a 4-year player. JT Tuimoloau is a 4-year player, could have been a first-round pick this year. So there is still an evaluation, a recruitment, a retention, a development. Now we'll see. If Calipari goes to Arkansas and wins a national title in his first year, and by the way, based on recent tournaments, success or failures, there's no reason to think that'll happen. But maybe we would view it differently, but I don't think so. I really don't. I still think at the end of the day, to win a championship, you can have all the talent in the world. There is still a baseline of, again, evaluation, development, culture, all that stuff that happens behind the scenes that still needs to happen. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're having a different conversation in a year or 2 or 6 months or 10 years from now, Ryan. But I don't think so.
I think you're on it. I think 5 years ago we would have all frowned upon it. Now we embrace it. Torres, don't have time to go through every single piece, but let me ask you about Alabama basketball. Alabama fans are a little anxiety. That seems to be a key word around here with losing a few guys in the transfer portal. What would you tell them?
I would tell them, the core is still there. First of all, I have been a little bit surprised. I think Rylan Griffin was the guy that emerged late. I was a little bit surprised by that one. But one, look at where the roster was this time last year, and you're coming off a Final Four, okay? If anyone can do it, Nate Oates can do it, And so, two, I think there's a plan. I think the other thing we have to remember is there's some really good freshmen coming in. And and it's the weird thing of, I think guys probably developed at a rate that Nate Oates probably wasn't expecting. And so, you have guys that are maybe a little bit ahead of schedule, but then you also have these freshmen coming in, and you probably, I'm not saying Nate Oates guaranteed them playing time or anything, but there were probably some guarantees in the recruiting process about what kind of opportunities they would have. So I hate to say it, Ryan, this is the world of college sports in 2024. Nothing really surprises me. Pringle obviously had some off the court stuff going on. I don't know what happened, so I don't want to speculate, but suspended more than one time during the course of the season. Sam Walters, I'll say, was a little bit surprising to me. I talked to him at the Final Four, and he seemed very happy with where he was, but maybe he saw the writing on the wall with some of the younger guys coming in next year. So you hate to see it, but one thing we've learned with Nate Oates, listen, literally, you're going to have a team good enough to go to the tournament every single year, and you're probably, based on history, going to have a team that's good enough to compete for an SEC title every single year as well. This year, remember, going into that last week, they were in contention. Now, a couple things broke the wrong way. You lose to Tennessee, then you lose to Florida, and it's a different deal. But they went into the last week of the season with a chance to win the SEC title. So in Nate Oates, we trust. I wouldn't say that about everybody, but he's got a 4 or 5 year track record now of, if he's your coach, he's going to have you in position to compete at the top of the SEC.
That's what we like to hear. Torres, the therapist. Hey, his wife's a therapist. My wife's a therapist. Sometimes we apply that to Sports Talk Radio, and he just did in the last 3 minutes and 30 seconds when I asked him that question. Torres, I appreciate you. Aaron Torres, which we can hear, and I always get reaction. When you come on the radio here on Fox Sports on Tide, we always get reaction. It's good to hear Torres on. It's good to hear Torres, and absolutely, it's good to hear Torres. Fox Sports Radio affiliate here in Tuscaloosa, Tide 100.9. Aaron Torres online. Aaron Torres Sports Podcast, one of the top sports podcasts in the entire country. Set those automatic downloads. Find him on his YouTube channel. Do a search for Aaron Torres. Subscribe to him there. Torres, I appreciate you, man. Have a great rest of your day.
By the way, this is why you're the best radio host in America, Ryan, because I didn't know where we were going today. Portal's a little bit quiet for Bama basketball. I did not dive too deep into the spring game, and I said, what is Fowler going to talk with me about? And sure enough, what are we on, 28 minutes since Noah first called me? Let me see here.
25 minutes?
27:33 since Noah called me.
You've been on the air 25 minutes and 10 seconds.
Much to my chagrin.
He's already shot me 2 birds because I ran right through 2 breaks. I literally ran right through 2 breaks. I mean, I got the double bird. I only just got one. I got double bird just a couple of minutes ago.
Well, this is why he's recording you in secret. I guess, wow, there's a real – you think Auburn-Alabama is a real rivalry. Noah versus Fowler seems like that's the real rivalry nobody's talking about.
I got a good one last night.
Oh, yeah, he got a good one last night because I was doing something, and then he cut it up, and I came back over as I was leaving. He said, I got something you'd hear. He mashed it. I was like, you son of a gun. You son of a gun. Well, I mean, boobs are part of the human anatomy.
I got to run. Torres. You guys can continue this off air. I got to go. I love you. Bye.
Roll Tide. We'll see you. Look, I mean, Noah was, for those who didn't listen to the last couple of minutes, we had a joke from Ellis in Manchester, Tennessee. And Noah goes, I can't believe that you said boobs on the air. Ellis did. But it's not like, I mean, is that a PG-13 word? I mean, we can discuss this before the kids get out at 3 o'clock, but I mean, Noah, play the audio. I know you're dying to play the audio. Go for it. I mean, boobs are part of the human anatomy, Noah. I mean, they are part of the human anatomy. I mean, I was taken up for Ellis, the last duck through the hole that dropped a joke.
He wasn't going to say it, but then you encouraged him.
But I mean, I don't think that's part of the FCC. We can't say SHIT.
Well, there's what the FCC says, and then there's just common sense.
Right.
You know?
And there's another one that starts with an F, and I'll leave it at that. There's like 5 words that you can't say on the FCC, I think it is. And some of those have to do describing sexual parts of males and females. Those are illegal. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. That's why we have a dump button, and that's why we use it kind of often. Noah just went panic on it because it is a lot of stress to hit the dump button because you got to catch back up. All right, Aaron Torres helping us out there. Where would you put Kalen DeBoer? And we'll start this by looking in the SEC. Looking at Kirby, is Kalen DeBoer the second best coach in the SEC? Where would you put him in the nation? Do you agree with this list? We'll dive into it.
And by April 20th, get 1 application free. Visit TrueGreen.com for the best lawn at the best price, guaranteed. Restrictions apply.
Roll Tide, the best sports talk, period. Your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
You might be hundreds or more miles away, or you might be just
for over 90 years, DCH Health System has been serving our community. They're the Regional Medical Center, Northport Medical Center, Fayette Medical Center. It is DCH Orthopedic Surgical Services, Women's Services, whether we're talking about trauma services, emergency services there, cancer Center that is connected with MD Anderson. DCH, great things are happening at DCH for over 90 years. DCHHealthSystem.com. We're coming back. We're going to discuss that. We got a little bit long there with Aaron Torres. We did, and I got to keep Noah happy, and we'll do that by taking what we call a lightning segment. I want to take this Jerry Jones story for just a couple of minutes, okay? A billionaire at 81. If he buys a basketball team or a football team. I guess he's probably given up on football, right? Sam Pittman is kind of on the hot seat, maybe one of the hottest seats in college football. Will we look at it any different? Will we view teams who buy their way to the top? Cam Newton, 2010. Auburn finally broke a 56-year stretch where they had not won a national title from 1957 to 2010, whatever that is. 53 years, is that right? Is that 53 years? So 53-year absence of not winning a national title. And really they split it in 57 with Ohio State. We view that as a bought national title. Most people do. It's a real national title, but it's one that we kind of take a little disclaimer there, a little footnote there. How will we view it? And then we'll go back to this. Where is Kalen DeBoer currently right now? Do a little thinking about that. We're going to give Travis Tritt tickets away. He's coming to the AMP coming up next Friday evening. We're giving away another.
Pets.com/deal or text deal to 511-511. Text deal to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
The Pharmacy at Midtown, TJ Thomas. He's the Nick Saban of pharmacists. And if your pharmacist doesn't have an Alabama shirt on, you don't want him. 205-752-0627. Sterile compounding facility, the only sterile compounding facility here in T-Town and West Alabama. All the compounding needs. The retail side, if you're looking for a pharmacy, many of those have closed here in West Alabama, and you're looking to transfer your prescriptions, PharmacyMidtown.com. PharmacyMidtown.com. Conveniently located right there at the back of Midtown. You'll find the Pharmacy at Midtown, a huge part of our show.
Where college football season never ends. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9.
That's big boy football.
And streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
It's hard for a poor boy to find the money. He had dedication. He had the heart and soul. Somehow knew he was born to play. People said, get a real job, support your family.
All right, let's go to Marty in Arkansas. Marty, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
All is well, Ryan. Ryan, I want to see what Kirby does.
Turn down your radio just a little bit if you don't mind.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, crystal clear.
All right, sorry about that.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Hey, I want to see what Kirby does when the schedule gets tougher. I mean, what's he against Alabama? 1-7? Even though it was Nick Saban, it's still Alabama.
That's a good point. I mean, because now you no longer can hide out in the SEC East. You no longer
can't hide nobody, and you can't hide your cupcakes either. See, I got them losing 3 games next year.
Okay.
I think they lose that first game of the year against Clemson because Dabo's got something to prove, and he's on the hot seat. You know,
All right, so Marty, take this. Okay, you're a college football fanatic. Give me the top 3 coaches in college football. Your unbiased opinion. Kirby Smart is at 1. Would you disagree with that?
I'll agree with that.
Okay.
Right now.
All right. Who's number 2?
If you go by records and whatever, you got to put DeBoer in there.
Okay, so you say Kalen DeBoer is number 2.
I put him, and then probably. I'm gonna put Lane Kiffin at number 3 because what he's done at Ole Miss.
Okay, you know what?
No one's done that since '95.
Well, I mean, Marty, as many people disagree, I think Lane Kiffin is a heck of a football coach.
Well, I think he got put into some jobs where he was so, because of his dad, and he got put in jobs where he's young. And when we're young, I don't know how old was Raiders, and, we all make mistakes when we're young, and we think we're cocky and we're better than whatever. And he probably got spoon-fed from his dad being in the, NFL and being one of the better defensive coordinators. So he thought, I can do this no matter where I go, And I think he's calmed down a lot in the last couple of years at Ole Miss and understood, hey, it's a job and you got to watch what you do. Like the Ohio State guy, I don't think he's that good. For what the talent he gets up there.
Yeah, for the talent, it doesn't match up. And maybe you're making the argument for Lane Kiffin. He doesn't get the talent in Oxford that most people are.
Up at Ohio State, he's the only school. He's the only school, the number 1 school. That's just like in Arkansas. They're the they say, they're the only school. A-State, just whatever.
Sure.
But, but the talent, but they ain't going to they don't get the Tyson money, and they don't get that Walmart money anymore since Sam and they lived.
So, again, perfect example. Marty, will we look at teams who buy their way to the top any different than we do currently in the national title picture? In your opinion, yes or no? Like if Jerry Jones comes out and buys a national title, because there's a report out here that says that by Trilly Donovan, who says that
he could give a lot of money to school, but I don't think he wants school to win, but I don't think they've got the right coaches up there to win. Now, Calipari, he can keep the state. He'll keep the basketball players from Little Rock from going out of the state.
I got you.
But I don't think Sam Pitt, just like with Torres, and I enjoy Torres, and I listen to him on Saturday, I think it's Saturday nights and stuff. But it's just like what he said. It don't matter. You still have to have a base of players staying 4 years and coaching them up and keeping them engaged. And I don't think Sam Pittman knows how to coach.
Gotcha. All right, Marty. Thank you, man. No, I don't think Sam.
Right.
I was talking more on the basketball side of things. I think Sam Pittman, at some point will be an assistant coach somewhere, because I don't think he's going to be able to make it up in Fayetteville, Arkansas, regardless of the money that they've spent or will spend or whatever you want to say. Marty in Arkansas helping us out there. Paul in Lincoln, we're going to get to you coming up in a couple of minutes. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
It's the Tide 100.9 30K Workday Payday. Woo! Win cash every weekday 8 to 5. Here's this hour's cash code.
257. Again, that's 257. The code is 257.
Enter that code now on the Tide 100.9 app. Click on the 30K Payday button and enter the code for a chance to win $30,000.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Dan Beyer.
Quick update from the NBA as it takes a night off before more play-in games on Friday. Heat forward Jimmy Butler is expected to miss multiple weeks because of a right MCL injury suffered in last night's loss to the Sixers. The Heat have the Bulls tomorrow night, and Bulls guard Alex Caruso may miss that game because of an ankle injury. Former Wisconsin forward A.J. Storr is transferring to Kansas. In the women's game, former LSU guard Haley Van Lith is going to transfer to TCU, according to reports. Commanders GM Adam Peters told reporters today the team is comfortable sitting at number 2 in next week's NFL draft, and they feel great about staying put. Patriots director of scouting Elliot Wolf says they're open to trading the 3rd overall pick along with any of their other picks in next week's draft, and the Chargers have signed free agent running back J.K. Dobbins to a 1-year deal.
When you see it. More importantly, when she sees it. VentureAndOsmond.com.
McFarland Boulevard between Edgar's and Local Roots.
DanielMooreArt.com. Celebrate that special Alabama fan in your life. 4th and 31. The legacy continues. All those great moments in that Nick Saban dynasty. You can find it at DanielMooreArt.com. Remember, The Game is the code word for a significant discount. The Game. And also remind those guys, when you buy something, that you heard about it right here on The Game with Ryan Fowler on Tide 100.9. DanielMooreArt.com. All the Nick Saban prints, whether you're celebrating Mark Ingram, Bryce Young, Devontae Smith, Derrick Henry, the great Heisman moment.
Field, go to skilltradesofwestalabama.com and find out more information about the 4-week Jumpstart program and take your first steps towards a rewarding career.
Pastor's Kitchen Mexican food right there in Northport. If you're looking for the great specials daily, the fajitas are outstanding. The Pastor's dip, the appetizers, the fried ice cream, always a great option. It is Pastor's Kitchen Mexican food. Also find the food truck, and we are also now serving breakfast at Pastor's Kitchen Mexican food. Stop by the McFarland Boulevard location. You can also find him in Northside. Pastor's Kitchen Mexican food with Pastor Garcia.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A warm afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds. A few scattered showers and storms are possible through the evening hours. The high today 86, the low tonight 65. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. A few scattered showers or storms are possible. The high 83. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 80 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Northport Power Equipment, if you're looking for chainsaw needs, if you're cleaning up those leaves or yard debris, you'll find the backpack blowers, the battery-operated tools, the Echo Outdoor Power Equipment, Crest Outdoor Power Equipment, the battery-operated tools by Husqvarna, and you'll also find great inventory on the zero-turn commercial and the residential mowers by both Skag and Husqvarna. Service department, do that end-of-the-season maintenance at Northport Power Equipment. It's 2 blocks east of the Northport Civic Center since 1996. Northport Power Equipment.
Any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Any way you want it. She loves to laugh, she loves to sing, she does everything. She loves to move, she loves to groove, she loves a lot of things. All night, oh, every night. So hold tight, ooh baby, hold tight. Oh, she said, any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Any way you want it. She said, any way you want it, that's the way you need it.
All right, so we're debating today, is Kalen DeBoer a top 2, 3, 4, 5? I did several different Google searches on these college football coaches. I think everybody has him in the top 5, 6 in the country when you look at it. But in your opinion, is he the second best coach in college football? Now we know what it's like to be Georgia fans because they've always been kind of second best with Kirby, or at least for a while. Dabo was there. Nick Saban was always the king, but the king has retired. The king of college football has retired. We're going to Paul in Lincoln, and then coming up in about 30 minutes, we'll talk to Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com, and then we'll talk to J.D. Pickell. Pickell. His name is he's got a lot of great content. So J.D. will be a Pickell. No.
You're saying it like DeBoer said Roll Tide when he first got here. You're not saying it with confidence.
Well, I mean, I guess maybe I need to work on that.
Yeah.
I've got 45 minutes.
Okay.
I got 45 minutes. But we will get Jay's first time he's ever visited with us.
If you don't have it ready by then, I'm just going to have to introduce him, apparently.
Okay. Well, you can. Paul in Lincoln. Paul, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Ryan, embrace the suck. That's SAUCK.
And let me tell you, you would be a proud moment happened just a couple of minutes ago in this studio. You would be an absolute, I mean, it would be like, the birth of a child, a grandchild. Paul, Noah, he came into this show and he really didn't hate Auburn. And I knew that was something we needed to work on. He kind of like a little bit like he was more of a gentle, okay, I pull for Auburn a little bit. And he hung up a poster a couple of minutes ago. Noah, why don't you describe the poster that you hung up about the Auburn Tigers, please?
Yeah, so there's a picture of two people, sports fans, and the caption says, "Always nice to meet a fellow Auburn fan." And you can tell that it's a fellow Auburn fan because they're both wearing paper bags on their heads.
And he hung that in the studio. Paul, your work has paid off.
Noah, you have shot up my list of favorite people, my friend.
He put it
Congratulations.
He put it in the producer studio over there. Hung it up just a couple of minutes ago.
I need inspiring pictures to make me feel better.
Up there for everybody to see. Noah, great job, my friend. Ryan,
he's embracing the suck. SAUCK.
He is. He's embracing the suck. That's SAUCK. Ryan, sad news to report on Uncle Bosie. I'm sure you heard about Uncle Bosie yesterday, right?
No, I haven't.
Sad? Oh, you haven't? Oh, Lord.
Please catch me up.
Well, grab you some tissue because this is going to hurt. Okay.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Evidently, during a presser yesterday in Scranton, Pennsylvania, Oatmeal Joe mentioned Uncle Bosie. Uncle Bosie evidently was a World War II fighter pilot and was having a combat mission over New Guinea and was shot down. And
oh man,
they couldn't shot down. And Ryan, evidently he was eaten by cannibals. They couldn't find the body. Oatmeal Joe, in his wisdom, said that poor old Uncle Bosie was eaten by the cannibals of New Guinea. Now the War Department, Ryan, specify that poor old Uncle Bosie was shot down over water, and the body was never recovered.
Okay,
but Oatmeal Joe is convinced that he was eaten by cannibals in New Guinea. Also yesterday, Ryan, I learned that Oatmeal Joe's mom, bless her heart, lived to be 1,954 years old.
He said that?
So, well, he said 1954 years old, so that's my simple math, Ryan. My Lincoln math is 1,954 years.
Man, what a sad...
That's a pretty long life.
Yeah.
Wonder if she had him
it's a
at
very
the
long
beginning
life.
or end of her life.
Oh, that's
like when did she hit menopause?
That's a good question. Paul, do you know the answer?
That's a very good question. Well, I'm not sure. Oatmeal Joe is really with us still, so I'm not sure when. Ryan, it was the most Listen, you can say this about every speech you make. It was the most discombobulated 10-minute speech that I think I've ever heard.
Well, he talked about Uncle Bosie twice yesterday, and I think he stumbled both times.
Uncle Bosie twice.
Yeah.
When he was in Scranton, and then I think he was speaking to some union group, and he lied twice about bless his heart, poor old Uncle Bosie. So, but I wonder how Uncle Bosie tasted to those cannibals. I wonder how that Biden blood.
Probably a little salty.
How that Biden blood tasted, you know?
Probably a little salty.
A little. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
I've never had a human. I don't think I'm planning on trying it either. I think that would
I know, but you know, you got to think when Cannibal One took a bite out of Uncle Bosie, Lord of mercy, could you imagine the look on his face? Oh.
Well, I'm trying not to. I mean,
okay.
Can we get back to Auburn?
Yes. Let's do it. Oh, mercy.
And let me ask you this question. When you look at viewing the way that we'll view college athletics, whether it's basketball or any of the sports, but let's just talk about the primary two with basketball and football. Will we view it any different if they buy their way to the top?
Well, I think you mentioned 2010, the Bugs. That was certainly a bought championship. Ryan, I mean, pretty much anything goes now. Maybe because everybody, and let's be honest, everybody is doing the pay for play now. I even joined Yay Alabama over the weekend, so I realize now how the game is being played. So, you know, Ryan, it's everybody's paying now. So, you know, is it safe to say everybody is?
I think it's one of the reasons why Auburn's not going to be able to get out of the dumps.
Yeah, I mean, they had to resort to back in 2010. They needed an SEC commissioner to run interference for them, and they just lawyered up, which is the Auburn way. They lawyered up and dared anybody in authority to come after them, and but you know that was then, and now what they did now it's legal. Everybody, you know, and there's no stop signs. There's no red lights. It's a full on pay for play. So, you know, whoever wins a national championship in either sport, you know, you either paid more for your athletes, or you got lucky with injuries or whatever, but everybody is paying now. So, and there's no stopping it. It's just, it's what it is, and it's what it's going to continue to be until something does change. You know, I don't know if I even answered the question.
No,
but that's kind of
you did. I mean, it's just something to debate. Here we go also on the top college football coaches. Where would you put Kalen DeBoer currently?
Oh, certainly I'd have him in the top 5, no doubt.
All right. I mean, so Kirby at 1.
Yeah, I mean,
Kirby's at 1.
Yeah, and listen, Dabo is certainly leaking oil. I mean, he's blown a couple of head gaskets here the last 3 or 4 years, but he does have 2 natties. You know, when he had it going at Clemson, he had it going very nicely. I mean, they were rocking along pretty good. But now it's changed even for him. And I'm going to disagree with Marty a little bit. I think Kirby is I really think they're going to beat the brakes off of Clemson in Atlanta when they open up this fall. But I would actually put probably Coach DeBoer at the 3 spot. You know, I think his record is impeccable. Now, granted, he hasn't done it in the fiercest of competition, but I certainly listen. And I know I didn't get the call yesterday. And I know Sark had a soundbite yesterday that it took him about 60 seconds to turn down the Alabama job. I'm not so sure he was even offered. You would probably know more than that than I would.
They might have engaged, but
yeah,
you know, Sark is.
I am more than happy with the coach we have. Believe me, I am more than happy. And like I said, this past weekend, it was fun. It was exciting. I think the crowd, I think the fans are engaged, and it's really a new era has opened up in Tuscaloosa, and I'm really excited to see where this goes.
But let's go back to Kalen DeBoer. And I know we all know it, but it's worth saying. Okay, he took over at a place that had only won 4 games with Jimmy Lake. 4 games. Mm-hmm. He took that program. And the next year and the year after, he went 25-3 and appearing. He beat Digger. If you're paying attention, he beat Sark. Now
beat Texas twice.
Dos.
Yes.
For Digger. So he's already 2 up on the SEC there, right? And then obviously played Michigan. Probably didn't come out on their side, but he's 25-3. 25-3. You know, we talked about Clemson, a tough place to win. Would you say that UW is a harder place to win than Clemson? I think so.
Oh, of course. With what he walked into, of course. 4
wins by Jimmy Lake. And a problem with a lot of off-the-field issues that had kind of surfaced around that program.
But what did he do, Ryan? He and I don't know if Michael Penix had already transferred to I think Penix transferred when Coach DeBoer was named the head coach at Washington.
He was.
Because didn't Penix play for Coach DeBoer at Indiana? Okay.
He did. And but then they had a quarterback by the last name of Morris there at UW, and it didn't take long for Michael Penix to beat him out.
Right, exactly. So I have no doubt that Coach DeBoer can develop talent, especially at the quarterback position. I'm super excited to see where this program's going to go. But again, Ryan, it's who can you retain on your roster? Because to me, right now, that's the X factor. I know it's quiet right now, and I hope it stays quiet on the Alabama front the rest of the spring. But you have to, you have to re-recruit everyone on your roster now, and make sure they're okay, they're willing to stay. Coach Saban used to say you lose 25% of your roster every year, through attrition, graduation, NFL, whatever. That number now probably, Ryan, is around. It could be up to 35 to 40%. Just with this transfer portal, and now you get to transfer unlimited times. you know.
In some ways, it's easier to build a program back quicker.
It is through the portal, yeah.
Yeah, through the portal. And by the way, this portal has it's not really been what we thought it would be.
And I hope it stays that way with Alabama.
So, yeah, it's kind of a big thought when you look at it. I mean, you've had a few walk-ons that have hit the portal. But it's been very slow, and I think that speaks for what Kalen DeBoer's been able to kind of build in a short amount of time here in Tuscaloosa.
You're right, man. You're right. But you know, I'm happy to see. I'm glad to see what you know, or looking forward to seeing. Excuse me, where this spring takes us. I know they're probably out visiting high school prospects now with the evaluation window open for high school prospects. So it never ends, Ryan. It never ends, buddy.
No, it does not. No, it does not. Hey, Paul, thank you again. I'm glad you had the proud parent moment, man. I hope that you will smile throughout the rest of the coming days. Just understand that you've made an impact on Noah.
Well, that's good to know, Ryan. Thank you, Noah. Embrace the suck, Noah. Let's all say a little prayer for Uncle Bosie tonight. Roll Tide, roll, buddy.
It's so sad. Uncle Bosie. Noah, what do you think about Uncle Bosie? I mean, is it...
Doing some research over here while you're talking, because I just heard you talk about it. I haven't seen it myself. It's, I don't know, it seems a little suspect to me.
What do you mean? Like you think he's... you think Joe's slipping? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I mean, he's probably slipping, but...
he's been slipping. I mean, he's been slipping for a while, but...
I mean, I've always been of the opinion I think there should be an age cap to the president. I stand by that. Okay. I think 75, you can't run anymore. There's a minimum. I think there should be a maximum.
Now, that's a thought. Wow, we could put that in front of the committee. What do you think? I mean, we're debating college football coaches. Noah says we'll throw the age limit on the president out there. That's coming from a guy. Wow, okay. It gives me a couple things to think about. Kalen DeBoer made one big statement. You're going to love it, and we'll talk about it next. T-Town, Tide, 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
Tuscaloosa police officers breached into an empty apartment last night after a caller threatened to commit double murder-suicide. The threat proved to be staged and no one was home or injured. Workers at the Mercedes automotive plants in Tuscaloosa will vote on whether to join the United Auto Workers Union during a week-long period next month. And the city's third Guthrie's Fried Chicken restaurant is open now in the same place where one used to stand on Skyland Boulevard. For the details on these stories and more, get connected.
Resort.com. We connect at thewallflowers.com. Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A warm afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds. A few scattered showers and storms are possible through the evening hours. The high today 86, the low tonight 65. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. A few scattered showers or storms are possible. The high 83. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 80 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Where the season never ends. This is your home of Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And then I can't blame all on the front. Oh no, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue. And then we'll take it higher. Oh, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue. And then we'll take it higher. Working so hard like a soldier. Can't afford a thing on TV. Deep in my heart, I adore ya. Can't get...
All right, let me play some audio here of Kalen DeBoer. He made an appearance for the next round, which is Jim Dunaway, Ryan Brown, and LT, and a conversation about national title. I'm going to play the question and the answer because I think it pertains to how DeBoer responded. Listen to the question, listen to the response from Kalen DeBoer earlier today.
You mentioned you guys came up a little short this year playing for the national championship. Now taking over this program that was in the college football playoff as well. We were talking about expectations. You were talking about them. You know what's here. Do you expect to win a national championship in year one?
Yeah, I mean,
he played for one last year.
I'm aware.
I'm just asking. You've got a talented roster, by the way.
This is what will get spread around the internet. Yeah, this answer.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, like that's what you come here for, right? You come here, and there's going to come a point in time where there's a lot of pressure going into a week or going even into a moment of a game. And, you know, the thing I'm always going to remind the guys of is this is why you came here, you know, and that's why I came here too, you know, is to be a part of that. And having those expectations, and you know that's what it's been, and that's what it needs to be. You know, you try to do everything you can each and every day to make that happen, to live up to that. That's certainly our goal.
And that is the next round. We'll give Psych those guys for the audio. Great conversation with Kalen DeBoer. They also had a dynamic conversation with Greg Byrne as well. Rodney Orr breaks that down and a lot more. Coming up in a couple of minutes, then we're going to get to Brady, actually Tommy and Romulus. Then we'll get to Brady. We'll get to Ron in Maryland, Bubba in Northport, and many others. Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
On the next Inside the Locker Room with Coach Wimp Sanderson and Barry Sanderson.
Tune in Friday. We'll talk about the Alabama-Texas A&M baseball game. They will take on Texas A&M tonight, the number one ranked Texas A&M. Can Alabama bounce back from the UAB loss?
In the construction field, go to skilltradesofwestalabama.com and find out more information about the 4-week Jumpstart program and take your first steps towards a rewarding career.
Northport Power Equipment, if you're looking for chainsaw needs, if you're cleaning up those leaves or yard debris, you'll find the backpack blowers, the battery-operated tools, the Echo Outdoor Power Equipment, Crest Outdoor Power Equipment, the battery-operated tools by Husqvarna, and you'll also find great inventory on the zero-turn commercial and the residential mowers by both Skag and Husqvarna. Service department, do that end of the season maintenance at Northport Power Equipment. It's 2 blocks east of the Northport Civic Center since 1996. Northport Power Equipment.
The longest running sports show in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Oh, what you gonna do? You wanna get down? Tell me. Oh, what you gonna do? Do you wanna get down? Oh, what you gonna do? You wanna get down? Oh, what you gonna do? You wanna get down? Tell me. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Come on and get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. How you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance? By standing on the wall. Get your back up off the wall. Tell me, how you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance?
Hey, we're gonna talk about A-Day. We're gonna talk about a lot of different things here with Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com, TiderInsider.com. Rodney Orr, Rodney, the editor, the founder of the incredible website, also part of TITV, WVUA, each Tuesday, and also archived there on the replay at 10:30, but also archived on TiderInsider.com. Rodney, I hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
Ryan, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. We've started this little bit of an off season, but a lot of things to recap with A-Day. Just your overall number one opinion when you walked out of Bryant-Denny Stadium. What was your takeaway?
Well, I think the thing that really struck me the most, just given that it was 15 practices, new staff, new offense, all of these different things, was just how smoothly everything seemed to go. I mean, I thought it was really clean. I mean, obviously they had a couple of interceptions that were nullified by penalties. So I guess if you wanted to get technical, it wasn't like totally clean. But and Kalen DeBoer pointed out after the scrimmage that none of the quarterbacks had thrown an interception in the 3 big scrimmages that they had. So I thought that was all really good. I thought the offensive line looked like it's coming around. I mean, you certainly see potential. You know, Caden Proctor's coming back. So that'll be helpful to the offensive line. There's a chance they go to the portal for some other guys to at least get depth there on that offensive line. I thought the running backs really stood out to me. The receivers, a lot of really impressive guys. I think Jeremy Bernard, certainly we've talked about him, on the show here. Kobe Prentice, Kendrick Law. We know he's going to be a really, really good player. They've got other receivers. They got more coming in. Quarterbacks, it was limited for Milroe. It takes away a lot of what he can do. Not really going to judge him, but I thought Ty Simpson stood out. That was something we've been hearing for a few weeks, that how he had really kind of took off, kind of started really, had a growth spurt. And I thought he showed it in the scrimmage, looked really good. I thought Dylan Lonergan, I know Austin Mack played with a lot of the walk-on type players, so it's hard to tell, but I know he's got a lot of potential. But offensively, that looked really good, Ryan. Saw a lot of really good players on defense as well.
Yeah, and there's plenty of things to discuss, and we'll kind of dive around with A-Day, but maybe on the concern side of things, where would you like to have seen a little bit more from this team? Offense, defense, special teams, all of the above.
Well, okay, you said special teams. I have no idea, other than what we've heard. Coach DeBoer mentioned that the place kicking seems to have been. I just took it when he spoke earlier about it earlier in the process of spring, that maybe it had been a little inconsistent. Maybe that's an area where we've gotten used to Will Riker around here, and he's really good. So I think that's one area that I hope is really make sure that one's shored up. And maybe it's Talty, maybe it's one of the walk-on guys, or maybe they go to the portal. Who knows? But that's certainly a spot that I kind of wondered about. Defensive line. I think, Ryan, to me, and this is me, I've heard some other people state other opinions, but I look at those guys, and physically on the hoof, they look really, really good. I think they're extremely athletic. A lot of those guys, several of them were highly recruited. I know you were without Jaheim Otis, who's going to be a key player there. But I think that defensive line has a chance to be really, really good. I thought they looked a little lethargic early in the scrimmage. They came alive and seemed to play much better. But some of those guys stood out to me. James Smith had some plays. I think Edric Hill looks really good, young player. So I think they've got a lot there. And I would say maybe the bigger concern to me would be the inexperience in the secondary. That's a spot where, if you want to say it's a concern, until they prove it. I know they're really talented, but do they go to the portal and get another corner to go with Damani Jackson just because of the experience factor? Maybe they do.
Well, and speaking of the portal, Rodney, it's been kind of quiet in Tuscaloosa, which is what you want to hear. The only other part, it's been kind of quiet around the world of college athletics. I know we're only a few days into this, but the portal has not been firecrackers that we thought it would.
I wonder if some names are going in or have gone in. It just hasn't been released yet. Maybe the players haven't released them, but, there is a process for the school, too.
Sure, 48 hours.
And, so maybe that could be part of it. I don't know. Two, I think some schools are still going through spring practice. I don't know which ones. I think Michigan's one. I think there's probably several others that are going through spring practice still. They've had their spring games this weekend, Saturday.
Texas A&M both this weekend. Mississippi State also both this weekend, and a bunch over in the ACC that are still happening this weekend.
Well, there you go. That may be part of it. That could be a part of it. And I wonder, too, I know there's the rule that you can't transfer within the SEC in the spring portal. You could do it back in January, but you couldn't do it. You can't do it now. I wonder if somebody might challenge that. I really do. I wonder if somebody might jump into somebody from the SEC, want to transfer to another SEC school and just call out the SEC on it and see how it works, see if that happens. Because I've heard just a few little things behind the scenes, but I don't know that's going to come to fruition, that'll happen, but it would be interesting to see. But yeah, I think maybe next week we might know a lot more over the next few days.
Well, and speaking of the NCAA, they came out yesterday, and I know it'll be approved at some point today, where they're pretty much not going to limit transfers, and they're going to have immediate eligibility. Now, Chris Hummer corrected me, so I had it in my mind because I'm thinking about immediate eligibility. Why put that in there? You cannot play for two different teams in the same season, so you can't just walk across the sidelines and say, well, I played for Alabama the first half and I'll play for Texas the second half. It's, I see immediate eligibility.
It's getting there, Ryan. Getting there, trust me.
I read it. I'm going, okay, is this really feasible? Is this really going to happen? But, he came back and he said, well, no, that's an option, but, you could play for, 4 years. You could play for 8 different schools in 8 different semesters. So you can literally play for 8 different schools. And I said, is that really where we're going? He said, yeah, they're not going to have any parameters around the limitations. So the SEC's no way they can override that, Rodney. That SEC rule is going to die somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so we might see that challenged. It'll be interesting to see if someone maybe challenges it here this spring. We'll see. This thing it's crazy. But it hasn't been the chaos right now that I think a lot of people expected. I thought it would be more than what we have. But again, I think there might be some factors involved that's kind of slowed it down. But I do think ultimately that Alabama will get players that they need at positions they need, whether it's to bolster that offensive line depth, corners, a corner, I should say, probably a corner, definitely. Then maybe a safety, another safety perhaps, with experience, all those guys with experience. And my thing, too, is with Jalen Hale going down, because I think he had a chance to be really good, and it sounds like he's going to be out most of next year, if not all of next year, potentially. I wonder, Ryan, if the right wide receiver comes available, a guy that could really come in experienced and really challenge to be one of those top 2 or 3 guys, a guy that could come in and make a major contribution. I wonder if they would, I think they would certainly evaluate a guy like that.
So there's a lot of things that we're kind of diving into. We also know that Coach DeBoer mentioned the offensive line, that they've got to improve those numbers. Is it simply depth here? Because Caden Proctor now officially comes back into the mix. Is it just simply depth here?
Well, I think, with Parker Brailsford, that he set out, those practices, and before, of course, Proctor's not here yet. So I think they went through most of spring with 12. I think they need at least 4 more. There's probably 16, 17, somewhere in there. So with those 2, Proctor rejoining the program, and then also with Brailsford sticking around, that will give them 14. So they probably, I could see them, 2 more possibly. I think my numbers are right. So 2 more, if they could find the right guys. And you asked me if it's just for depth. Yeah, look, I think that the tackles, I understand Elijah Pritchett had a pretty good, it looked to have a pretty good spring overall. I think with Proctor coming back, he's going to have one of those spots. And then I think some of the younger players, especially Wilkin Formby, sounds like he's really, I know he's worked extremely hard. He's very talented. He's a guy that is going to eventually be one of those tackles, I do believe, Ryan. And I think he could potentially be that guy this year at the right tackle spot. I guess it just depends. Miles McVay's in there, too. He's really competed at that spot. I noticed they were moving Olasa Lennon around quite a bit. They moved him to guard and the right tackle in the A-Day. So, we'll see. I guess if they found the right tackle that they felt really, and I say right, the one they would like, I think maybe they would look at it.
A lot of things to discuss. Rodney, we've also been throwing around today for a couple of minutes. Pro Football Focus came out. It was just a question. Is Kalen DeBoer is a top blank, the left that open head coach in college football? We're sitting here debating, and it's with Coach Saban retiring, Jim Harbaugh going to the National Football League, you start looking around college football. We've been kind of making the case that maybe Kalen DeBoer is second best coach in the country behind Kirby. Would you agree with that?
Oh, those things are hard to really say.
Well, but I mean, think about it just for a couple of minutes. And I'll read you through their list, and you can tell me. They've got.
Now, who is this?
This is ESPN here. Pro Football Focus put up a list, but I'm reading the one from ESPN. Kirby Smart at 1, and he's 13-1 record last year, 94-16. Kalen DeBoer's 2, according to ESPN.com. Kyle Whittingham is at 3 at Utah. Dabo's at 4. Mike Norvell's at 5. Dan Lanning's at 6. Sark's at 7. And Kiffin's at 8.
You named off about 4 of those guys that some of these Alabama fans wanted to hire.
Sure.
Instead of DeBoer. And some of those guys, Kalen DeBoer is 5-0 against. I'm talking about Lanning. Is the other one?
Sark, he's
Sark,
he's 2-0
against Sark back-to-back.
Back-to-back.
He beat Sark back-to-back with Sark clearly had more talent overall. On the line of scrimmage, defensive line, he beat Sark twice. And he beat Lanning 3 times. When I bring that up, they tell me, oh, that doesn't matter. But I wonder if he was 0-5 against those guys, if it would matter.
It would matter.
Right?
Absolutely it would.
Matter.
He probably wouldn't be here if he was 0-5.
Yeah. But so with all that said, I think Kalen DeBoer's right there. I mean, I do. He's 104-12. Ryan, he took a program that was 4-8 the year before that was a disaster. And they turned that around. They went 25-3 in 2 years. They played for the national championship last year. The things they did offensively to turn that program around, I think they went from averaging like 20 points a game to 40 points or 39 points in 1 year. That was one of the more significant turnarounds offensively that you've seen in college football in a year. So they did a lot of fantastic things there. I think a lot of people say, well, he's coached at some programs before Washington that really weren't high profile, obviously. But I think what it shows is everywhere he goes, he wins. I think he's been a head coach 9 years, and 7 of those years he's won 11 or more games. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. But I think certainly that he would be named number 2 or whatever. I guess
the only reason we're debating it is it kind of grabs you a little bit when you say Kalen DeBoer's the second best coach in college football. There's, to me, look, understand what I mean by this. I'm already hearing some people say this, that what if Kirby comes over here in September and loses to Alabama again? I mean, they're going to build statues of him over at Athens. That's not what I'm saying, but I think you understand what I mean. At some point, those Georgia fans, he's 1-5 against Alabama. He's 1-5 against Saban. Now you would never know it by listening to them sometimes. You would think it was just the opposite. He's 5-1. But if he comes in here and loses to DeBoer in September, they might have DeBoer number 1 on that list. What do you think? That would be kind of crazy. I mean, to think about it. Alabama fans kind of exploring, and the more you explore, the more you find out, and reading other people's opinion. I mean, the reason why we're doing this, Rodney, is because the Alabama fatigue syndrome will set in, right? Because it's almost like you got to do double things in Tuscaloosa, if not. And I'm talking about from a national perspective, not from a local perspective. He's doing it at Alabama. He's doing it at Alabama. That's easy. No, it's not. But
I think it's harder now.
I agree.
I think it's harder now because what he's following, and I'm not saying it's going to be harder for him to do it. I'm saying I think it certainly would be perceived as a more difficult situation. I would say that anyway. So, I think if he achieves, if the potential of it, then I think, there's a lot of people that say you never want to follow a guy like this. You know that. But he hasn't batted an eye, and I think the transition has been about as smooth as it could have gone so far. And I think there's been a lot of bumps in the road, when he first got here especially. And I think that he's kind of managed those extremely well. So what that tells me is that, and again, we've followed this for a long time, Ryan, you know that. And we've seen a lot of different things. And I remember Coach Fran, we can go back 20 some odd years ago. And I remember him telling me, this place, he said, I've been a head coach 15 years. And he said, I've seen things as a head coach here I never saw anywhere else. And if you don't have a guy that can come in and is confident with experience, and he was really referring to Mike Dubose, and what he was saying was, he was defending Dubose. He was saying, a guy that's an inexperienced, that's never been a head coach, can easily get overwhelmed in this place. So I say all that to say there were some moments here that I think could have been overwhelming, but I think, in this transition, but I think Kalen DeBoer has managed each one of them extremely well so far.
Kind of exciting. And he was asked a couple of hours ago on the next round, is it fair to expect a national title in year number one? He said, well, that's why you come to Tuscaloosa, right?
Yeah.
So that was his quote.
Ryan, it's more and more, it's more competitive now than it's been ever. I mean, and now you got Texas and Oklahoma coming. We know what Georgia's been the last few years. Tennessee's gotten better. We know LSU. There's a lot of really top programs in this conference. So it's good. It's real challenging. It certainly is. But, I think Alabama, based on what I've seen, based on what I think we hear, is, I think they've got a chance to be really good again. And if you make it through the SEC, you're going to have a chance. Of course, we got 12-team playoff this year, so it's going to make things maybe even a little bit more likely or possible because of your opportunity to get into the playoffs. It's going to be greater.
Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com, TiderInsider.com, the instant access available, and we're going to be talking about recruiting the next time we visit, and a lot more. Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com, TITV, WVUA each Tuesday, 6:30, 10:30 on the replay. It's archived there on the front of TiderInsider.com, and also the book, Bigger Than Bama, RodneyOrr.com, RodneyOrr.com, Bigger Than Bama. That book is still available, and it's very popular among the Alabama fans. Great storytelling from Rodney from the walk of Tider Insider, starting throughout the coaching searches, but as he labels it, Bigger Than Bama. You can explore that and also connect with him on the Facebook side of things, TiderInsider.com, TiderInsider.com. Rodney, I appreciate you, man. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay, Ryan. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com. We're continuing.
Guarantee. Text support to 511-511. Morning Kick.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A warm afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds. A few scattered showers and storms are possible through the evening hours. The high today 86, the low tonight 65. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. A few scattered showers or storms are possible. The high 83. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3320 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 79 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Your home for Alabama Crimson Tide football. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
No, I've not even taken a chance to go downstairs, but I want you to tell me about the Standard Pizza because you had a piece. I'd like for you to give me a good review
both
here.
I had
Jaisha had one as well?
Two. And Jaisha had one. Okay. We were eating some of that Standard Pizza. So they catered it to us today. So they and. Do
they know that my show starts at 2? I mean, do we?
I think it just happened that they were coming today at 11 for all the office.
Oh, okay. So
but we saved some. We saved some for you so you can have some too.
Yeah, it's mighty kind of
but
you guys.
It's like when you do the ad reads. It's a big spread. They had a big spread.
So here's the ad read. Okay, mouth watering.
Yes, it was very good.
Hot.
It was good.
It was.
Yes. Well, it's in the fridge right now, so right now it's cold, but we could heat it up.
But we heat it up, so it would be
hot when it got here.
Fresh pizza is available now by DoorDash or visit the Standard on the Strip. We are the home of the 20-inch pizza pie.
Oh, they're humongous. You get
pepperoni.
Yes.
Meat lovers. Which one did you go with?
I went for the pepperoni and the cheese. They devoured the meat lovers. The rest of the other people got it before I did.
Okay. And then you can also design your own. Are you an anchovy guy?
Not really, no.
No, neither am I. Jaisha, are you an anchovy person?
Anchovies, Jaisha says no.
Teenage Mutant, what was that?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, they used to love anchovies.
Wait, no, I think...
Michelangelo, didn't he used to say
no anchovies?
I have a clip, actually.
Oh, there it is, okay.
No anchovies. And I mean no anchovies. You put anchovies on this thing and you're in big trouble, okay?
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I'm not up on my cartoons. Maybe I need to... But
it's like you said. So they had stuff beyond pizza too. They had John Matthews was eating some wings, and then there was
they got boneless wings, and then they got the mac and cheese bites named after Noah,
named after me. They may have been there. I didn't look through. I didn't have time to look through everything to see if there were the mac and cheese bites, but I thought they might be there.
Okay. Well, we've got to go over and try this out. TheStandardBama.com. You can also do a full-service restaurant. You can also order online. TheStandardBama.com. Lunch, dinner, late night, the best pizza in T-Town is The Standard on the Strip. Noah giving us great reviews. I mean, it looked good from this seat, but, I just literally forgot all about it. I've got to tell you my story of my eventful morning.
Really?
I had a very eventful morning, but an eventful morning was a happy, I was about to say happy ending, but I don't know if that's the appropriate word.
Oh, God.
Because, I mean, when you say that people have a different reference, okay? But no, I've...
Fowler, you freak.
For a couple of minutes, I thought I was in trouble. I really did. I thought...
Does anybody want to get nasty?
Because I was driving my wife's car, and she hates gas stations, by the way. She hates gas stations. And I got in her 4Runner, and I drove for a few miles, and it just so happens that I run out of gas. I thought, because it looked like the gas was I think I was 70 miles to empty. But anyway, it was out of gas, Noah. So I felt like an idiot, but really my wife just left me, she left me hanging. My wife hates gas stations. Hates gas stations. I don't know why. She must have like a what would you call a gas station phobia? How would you label that? Noah, you're the master of the English language. How would you say that you're afraid of gas stations?
So you have to put phobia in it, of course.
Yeah, sure.
So it'd be like pumpaphobia.
Pumpaphobia. That's why we pay him the big bucks, okay? So I'm on the side of the road. I get a gallon of gasoline, and it cranks perfectly. I'm an individual. I have many weaknesses. Gas stations are not one of those. I don't.
Sure about that?
No, I do have many weaknesses. We're going to JD coming up in just a couple. What do you?
Go ahead, say it. Say his last name.
Piquel.
Okay, good.
Did I say it wrong?
You're trying to cop out. You said we're going to JD here. I was like, he's trying to avoid saying his last name because he doesn't know how to say it.
No, I got it. JD Piquel.
I'm proud of you.
Pearl River Resort Silver Star Convention Center. On sale now at PearlRiverResort.com. It's the Tide 100.9 30K Workday Payday. Woo! Win cash every weekday 8 to 5. Here's this hour's cash code.
488. Again, that's 488. The code is 488.
Enter that code now on the Tide 100.9 app. Click on the 30K Payday button and enter the code for a chance to win $30,000.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Dan Byer.
News just in from the NFL, and Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Zay Flowers will not face any penalty from the NFL after the league says they found insufficient evidence that he violated the league's personal conduct policy following allegations made against Flowers in January. Commanders GM Adam Peters told reporters the team is comfortable sitting at number 2 in next week's NFL draft, saying the team, quote, feels great, end quote, about staying put. Peters added that he didn't foresee a bunch of scenarios where the team would trade down from that spot. Different story in New England, where Patriots Patriots director of scouting Elliot Wolf says they're open to trading the 3rd overall pick along with any of their other draft picks in next week's draft. The Chargers signed free agent running back J.K. Dobbins to a 1-year deal. Jimmy Butler of the Miami Heat's expected to miss multiple weeks because of a right MCL injury and suffered in last night's loss to the Sixers. Bulls guard Alex Caruso may miss tomorrow's game against Miami because of an ankle injury. Kentucky's Reed Shepherd officially entering the 2024 NBA draft.
This is the only world we know, and for now this rental's our home. If we gon' be a reflection, gotta make this dirt rock glow. Just so you know.
Light shine bright everywhere we go. Music for the people to illuminate the show. Light shine bright everywhere we go. Music for the people, making music for the people. Light shine bright everywhere we go. Music for the people to illuminate the show.
You know, at the start of the 3 o'clock hour, we played Kalen DeBoer's favorite group. At the start of the 4 o'clock hour, we're now playing Little Nate Oates. When you take people to the Final Four, you begin to get honored, right? You begin to get honored, and we do that here on this program. We always appreciate you for being a part of our show. We are always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Skyland Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. Buy 3 tires, get that 4th tire for only $1. Right now, we're going to go to J.D. Pickell. He is a guy, hard count on the YouTube side of things. He's also part of On3. He's a national college football analyst. J.D., welcome into Tuscaloosa. Welcome into the game. I hope all is well.
Man, all is better now. Appreciate you having me on. It's fun. We got some college football talk in the month of April, man. So glad to be on with you.
Absolutely. And JD, for those, listen, I know you've been a part of this college football analyst side of things, but I just want you to lay out your credentials because you bring a lot of things to the table. Walk us through everything that you're involved in. I know we normally do this at the end, but maybe we'll do it twice just to promote you. I appreciate you coming on for the very first time. It's good to meet you on the Twitter side of things. Appreciate you coming on. But lay out the credentials, my friend.
Yeah, man, the pleasure is all mine. Well, no, I mean, fortunate to, like you mentioned, be a college football analyst for On3 and get the privilege to have a job in very, very bold quotes talking about college football every single day on that On3 YouTube channel platform. And got to show the hard count that you can find a video component on YouTube. You can find it on the podcast platforms if you're more into that and kind of living, running, and gunning and don't have time to tune into a YouTube show. But yeah, man, I got to play my college football at Cornell and knew I still wanted to be around football and didn't have any of those 32 teams knocking on my door, shockingly enough, for a 5'11" guy who runs, probably north of a 4'6". So all that to say, I'm happy to be able to do this for a job and pleasure to be able to talk to someone like you today.
What position did you play, JD?
I was a running back.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, we love former players that can provide the media analyst part because you guys can dive a lot of different areas, and we certainly want to pick your brain and join those 167,000 people that follow JD and his team at On3 on the YouTube side of things. JD, you were here a couple of weeks ago. You interviewed Kalen DeBoer inside that building. What was your number one takeaway with the sit-down coach? Was that the first time that you'd ever visited with him?
Yeah, it was the first time I got to visit with him, which was a pleasure that he made some time during his schedule. I think he had just finished figuring out where he was living in Tuscaloosa, so he was kind enough to make some time for us to chop it up for a few minutes. I think there was a lot of takeaways, but the number one overarching sentiment that I came away with was, all right, this guy's definitely got a plan. And if you're an Alabama fan listening to this, you're like, well, gosh, I would hope so. You're following Nick Saban, taking one of the biggest brands in the sport. I would hope there's some sort of strategy there, JD. And I think that's a fair thought to have. But for me, the deeper part of that was like he wasn't just walking in from what I could gather, assuming that it was going to be the same as the other jobs. And it wasn't something he said that implied that, but he talked about his plan for recruiting. And he when I asked him the overall plan, he was like, you mean by position? You mean just overall? And the fact that he had a second level question there of, well, we're going to recruit quarterback this way, we're going to recruit defensive back this way. And so all that to say, like, that was encouraging to me. And then also hearing him talk about Jalen Milroe, like, that was quite honestly one of my first concerns when he took that job at Alabama, because I was like, man, his quarterbacks over the course of the last 4 years as a team, they've averaged north of 40 attempts a game. Like, Alabama threw the ball 23 times a game last year. And so that wasn't really Jalen Milroe's specialty. There's a lot of other things really well, but that wasn't so much the the bread and butter for them. And so talking to him about that and him acknowledging like, hey, yeah, we want to run our system. Yeah, I want us to be successful throwing the football, but at the same time, like, we're crazy if we don't utilize his legs. So a couple of bullet points there, I guess, would be we're using Jalen Milroe and maximizing him. You know, it's going to be personnel over plays. And then when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to the brand in Alabama, like, he's going to be authentic, and he's got a very, very clear plan in place that he's sticking to. And I love that.
Yeah, and I've played the audio several times when I listened to him talking about Jalen Milroe, and I think great coordinators are able to adjust to the personnel. I don't think it's a secret that Milroe's got that number one job. Ty Simpson has really come on in the last couple of weeks of spring practice, but I mean, when you look at what Jalen Milroe was able to do under Tommy Rees and Nick Saban last year, leading Alabama, probably one of the least talented teams in Tuscaloosa that I can remember, and he led them to a semifinal game. Why not Jalen Milroe in a Heisman Trophy, possibly finalist year in 2024?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think the other part of that, too, is you don't just have a quarterback there. Like, you have someone that team rallies around. It's someone that, you know, everybody buys in and goes as Jalen Milroe goes, and it's a small thing, and it's the spring game, so it's hard to take too much away from practice number 15. But for me, I was honestly encouraged seeing him get frustrated in that last series. Like, a lot of guys would have said, okay, hey, good spring, good finale. Like, we're happy to be done with this thing. Let's go enjoy ourselves and kind of reap the fruits of our labor now and get some well-earned rest. And he's, like, frustrated with how that last drive finished out. And it was very Saban-esque to me. You know, not saying that Jalen Milroe is the embodiment of Nick Saban by any stretch, but just that same mentality of like, hey, we're competing against our own standard here. We're not competing against, you know, what that scoreboard says. We're not competing against what yesterday was. Like, we're competing against our very best every single day. And I think that's what makes the good teams great and the great teams elite. And I think that's going to be a huge difference maker for Jalen Milroe as he continues to push the envelope in 2024. As you break down this roster in Tuscaloosa, what should Alabama fans be concerned about? I think there is just a lot of unprovenness on, if that's even a word I can utilize here. I think there's a lot of unproven production on the defensive side. And then to be clear now, unproven production at a place like Alabama is very, very different than unproven production at a place like, you know, Iowa State or other school I won't mention just so I don't get in trouble with the other fan base here. But yeah, Alabama, like, Nick Saban left that covered pretty stock for Kalen DeBoer. So the youth, I think, in the secondary is something I'm watching here pretty closely, and how that trends. Like, that really is the big question to me. I don't have a ton of reservations after going through the spring, after sitting down with Kalen DeBoer and honestly just seeing how Jalen Milroe operates. I think that offense is going to be dynamite. I really, really do. My question is just, overall, we haven't necessarily seen the defense to go with the offense throughout the course of Kalen DeBoer's career. Not saying Cam Womack can't be that, but when you lose a Caleb Downs, when you lose a Kool-Aid McKinstry and a Terrion Arnold, like, those are very real pieces that you have to replace, not just from a production standpoint, but also from a leadership and an experience standpoint. So that's the thing that I'm watching most closely is in the secondary and the defense. But again, with how talented they still are within that roster, even with all the guys that left, I think there's always going to be cause for optimism in Tuscaloosa. JD, how would you evaluate this transfer portal? Because right now the transfer portal really not showing the fireworks that maybe we thought that was going to be. Maybe it will come. We still got, a few more days, but about 12 more days left in the portal, maybe 13 days. What do you think of the portal? Is this going to be a quiet portal, or is this thing going to heat up soon? Yeah, that's a really good question. It's funny because, that was kind of the headline, right, from a lot of people with microphones that were saying, hey, buckle up, portal season's going to be crazy, going to be madness, craziest thing we've ever seen. And it still has been crazy for sure with just the sheer number of guys. But the big thing for me with this portal cycle is I think you'll see a lot more of the impact from this wave of transfers in November as opposed to August. And what I mean by that is Georgia lost a running back, Andrew Paul, who saw the writing on the wall. He sees Roger Robinson in front of him. He sees Trevor Etienne in front of him. And he's like, hey, man, I want to go play somewhere. God bless him. That's great for him. He probably can play somewhere and play at a really high level. But for Georgia fans, that's a bummer. That's, a good back for us. Would have been a good piece in the future. But it's not going to impact that first game against Clemson, most likely. It's not going to impact that game in September against Alabama. Where it might have an impact is when you're playing late November and you got guys that are dinged up and you need to have fresh legs. Well, at that point in time, that depth that would have been in the running back room, that's gone. So that's kind of, I think, a microcosm of what a lot of teams are experiencing right now. That depth that it's going to take to win a national title in what could be a 16, 17-game season for a national champion, that's crucial. And a lot of that, I think, is getting decimated right now by the second full window. So November, we'll see the impact, but in August, we're not seeing, the former 5-star was going to be a starter this year, quarterback hitting the portal for NIL, ambitions or what have you. I think it's all going to be very much so depth and backup centric.
JD PicKell right now with us on 3, sharing some thoughts with us. JD, as the position that you played running back, evaluate this running back room because, throughout the A-Day, man, there was some talent in that backfield.
Hey, it's deep. I said that's a deep room, man. Like, I knew Jam Miller was a guy. I figured Justice Haynes would be a guy. Richard Young being able to add into that, legitimately being 3 deep at one of the most important positions in the SEC, being able to move the ball on the ground is obviously a price of admission to be successful in that conference. And, I think the eval is, okay, we're good to go. We can lean on that. We can still have, the physical Alabama edge that we've had in the previous 17 years under Nick Saban. And I think it was probably fair if that was a question mark for folks, not so much the running back room, but, hey, are we still going to have this physical edge to us? Like, we've kind of been the enforcers the last couple of years. We got a new coach coming in, and he, had a bunch of wide receivers that, did phenomenal things last year in Washington. He's got a quarterback that, was up for the Heisman Trophy. They threw the ball, at a really, really high level. Are we going to be more finesse? Was probably a fair question that if you were an Alabama fan, you would have every right to have. But I think after watching the A-Day and seeing them open the game, with 2 running backs, and they got, Justice Haynes leading the way for Jam Miller, and they're getting down there, they're getting north and south. I don't worry at all about the physical edge of Alabama going anywhere. They can lean on that as much as they want to.
JD, who could be a surprise team in the Southeastern Conference?
You know what? This is going to get me uninvited to ever coming back to the show, so I'm just going to, go out here on my terms. Auburn is fascinating. We got to go out to sit down with Coach Freeze and watch practice out there. Like, I think that defense will be much improved with DJ Durkin, or at least stable to as good as they were a season ago, and probably a little bit better on the back end when it comes to the big plays. I really think Peyton Thorne is catching a lot of heat right now, and based on 2023, it's fair to criticize him. But I think we also have to use the context of their leading receiver was a tight end, so they didn't have a ton of options to throw the football to. And then also, he didn't get 15 spring practices. So the fact that he missed the most important part of the year to install the offense, to get comfortable, and kind of got thrown in the fire, I think that's going to make the world of difference that he gets to have that this year. I think Hugh Freeze running the offense and being so aligned with his quarterback could make all the difference in the world. So as close as Auburn was last year, I think they have the roster and the overall approach this year to do some really, really good things with the way Hugh Freeze has kind of settled in now in his second year with that team.
JD, how about Georgia? When you look at Georgia in 2024, what do you expect?
Yeah, how about Georgia? That's a great way to lead it in, man. Like, as of right now, we sit here in April and we look at head coach and we look at staff and we look at rosters, and I have a very difficult time talking myself into any other team being ahead of them right now. Now, that could change. I mean, we saw last year they got dinged up down the stretch and ultimately hurt them in some other ways. And Alabama played a phenomenal game against them in Atlanta and won that game outright. I mean, I don't think there was any question they deserved to be in the playoff, in my mind at least. But no, I mean, I think they're going to be absolutely nasty on both sides of the line of scrimmage. I think the interesting thing this year compared to last year, you got a quarterback now who is going into his second year of the system and can build off of what he did last year as a guy in the system, one, but two, just as a leader, as a guy who's more comfortable in the big situations. Like, he strikes me as a pretty calm, cool, collected guy, but still, there's no way to prepare for your first time playing in the SEC championship game or the SEC period with all the venues they had to plan a season ago. So I think that's a major differentiator. And then also the depth they have at wide receiver now. Like, Colby Young flashed a little bit this spring, it sounds like. Dominic Lovett, another guy who's going into year two, he had a big spring game. Like, all the weapons they have, I think, is going to allow them to take that next step through the air. And if they can be dynamic throwing the football, I feel really good about them on the ground. And I don't know how they're going to be toned down when teams play against them on the defensive side of the ball. So I probably, if I had to take a champ today, I would pick Georgia to win it all. We sit here in the middle of April, whatever that's worth.
All right, Kirby Smart's the best coach in college football, JD. And we've been throwing this around here today in Tuscaloosa. Who's number 2? Sure. Who's number 2 right now in college football?
Great question. Number 2 is Brian Kelly. And I think the thing you'll hear the most is, well, he hasn't won a national championship. And that's a very fair reservation if that's the reason why he's not second for you. For me, it's just the success over time that he's had everywhere, from Cincinnati to Notre Dame to now being at LSU for all of 35 minutes, and he's got 2 10-win seasons. I just think the way that he's going to trend to LSU, it's just a matter of when, not if, he wins a national title. A lot of other good coaches you can put in that 2 spot, but for me, I just feel like I have the highest floor, and now at LSU, arguably one of the higher ceilings in college football. I always do down Baton Rouge. So I'm going to go Brian Kelly and feel pretty confident with him at my number 2 spot. Right. Was there other names getting floated out there for y'all?
Well, a little bit, but Brian Kelly's the first time. But, we don't have a lot of LSU fans that call in. And we're kind of asking, where does Kalen DeBoer fit into this? I know ESPN put him at 2. Pro Football Focus put out a poll, pretty much 2, 3. I did see some 4s, but, is Kalen DeBoer a top 3 coach in the country? Where would you have it?
I think if you're projecting versus resume is a tricky conversation there for me. I think if I'm projecting and I had to hire a coach today, I would put Kalen DeBoer probably in my top 5. Okay. I think what Mike Norvell has done at Florida State deserves a lot of credit. I think what Steve Sarkisian has done at Texas probably leads me to put him in that 3 spot. And I think a lot of Alabama fans are saying, JD, did you watch the Sugar Bowl? Did you see Kalen DeBoer have his way against Steve Sarkisian? So that's a fair point to have, too. But I think just from where Steve Sarkisian took that team from and where he led them to, before Texas, it felt like was a job that a lot of folks hey, I don't know if you want to take that job. That's kind of where, it's hard to win there, the booster, the brand, all those things. And he totally revamped that, and I think that deserves a lot of credit. So I would probably put Kalen DeBoer, I'd probably put him in my top 5, where I'd at least have a very real conversation about him being in my top 5. And that's just because we haven't seen him have as long a track record at the FBS level. The way he's trending, he'll be a top 3 coach this time next year, if not, the next couple of years.
Hey, JD, a final question here. This kind of came from the audience. We were talking about the transfer portal about 10 minutes ago, maybe the first couple of questions out of the gate. Is there a chance that teams are out of money in their collective is one of the reasons why? This came from the audience, and I thought it was a really good point. Is there a chance that teams are out of money is one of the reasons why the portal's not heating up?
That's a really good question. I think that could be a layer to it. To me, I think how much money you have is how much you care. I think we're seeing teams like Missouri now putting their flag in the ground and saying, hey, we are going to be competitive in NIL. And you see them go land one of the top quarterbacks. We've seen them have a lot of success in the portal. And so I think when you look at teams being out of money, it might be what they had out of money, to start with. But we all understand this now. If you want something bad enough, you go to your funder, you go to your source, you go get another loan, and you say, hey, listen, I can make it work. When you're desperate, you can find a way to get it done. So I think desperation is also probably baked into that as well. But I think also it's just the product that's available. You're not seeing those 5-star, 4-star caliber guys at the college level. I think college level, we have a college rating for these guys as well at all 3 with entry the portal and kind of give them a rating. You're not seeing as much of that. And so for that reason, I think that's why it is a little bit slower, because guys that, were able to improve their value from an NIL standpoint did so during the winter period, and the guys that were curious about it did so before they even had to jump in the pool and got themselves a new deal. So there's a lot of factors to it, but I do think money could definitely play a part.
JD, one more time. I know we started the conversation, but is the hard count on On3? And right now you guys are offering a little deal. $1 for 1 month on On3. Take advantage of that Steve Wiltfong, which is a guy that's a friend of our program. We always enjoy chatting with him, and I know you do as well. But a chance for people to join for On3 for $1. Is that right?
That's absolutely the case. Yeah, a myriad of fan sites. We got Bama Online, which does a tremendous job covering Alabama and a part of the phenomenal ecosystem y'all have out there in Tuscaloosa. And if you want to sign up for $1, great time to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. BamaOnline.com, a long-standing website here at the University of Alabama with Charlie Potter and Travis Ryer and Tim and all those great guys. Bama Online been around since 1996. So always appreciate you, JD, and I'll invite people to connect with you. JD Pickell. It is Pickell, JD Pickell on 3. JD, I hope we can visit again, man. I enjoyed the chats.
Man, likewise, always a pleasure being on. And whenever y'all have me on again soon, if we can look past me calling Auburn a sneaky team here in the SEC this year, I'd love to jump back on with y'all in the near future.
But see, here, I'm just going to give you a bailout. Sneaky could be 7 wins for those guys, right? I mean, if Auburn... See, we're just going to take your words and twist it. That's what we do in this media business. So
there it is.
Sneaky would be 7 wins, 8 wins. I mean... Vegas doesn't expect much from the Tigers, so neither do we. But I'll trust your opinion because we enjoy the chats, man. Thank you again, JD.
Thanks, Ryan. Have a great one, man.
Thank you. You do as well. JD Pickell helping us out there on 3.com. Noah, that was a lot of fun to be able to talk with JD and a lot of breakdown there. We're going back to phone calls. We'll take those. Tommy and Romulus Brady coming up. Ron in Maryland. We'll take Bubba in Northport, as many others. T-Town Tide, 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
Tuscaloosa police officers breached into an empty apartment last night after a caller threatened to commit double murder-suicide. The threat proved to be staged and no one was home or injured. Workers at the Mercedes automotive plant in Tuscaloosa will vote on whether to join the United Auto Workers Union during a week-long period next month. And the city's third Guthrie's Fried Chicken restaurant is open now in the same place where one used to stand on Skyland Boulevard. For the details on these stories and more, get connected.
News coverage and sports updates when you download the free Tuscaloosa Thread app and sign up for twice daily email newsletters.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, happy Thursday to you. Heavy slow goes is the norm here on 69 northbound at Union Chapel Road. So that's going to cost you a solid long line back to McFarland Boulevard. And speaking of McFarland, always some issues there. So we had an earlier accident on the eastbound lanes at Bear.
Of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
A huge part of the game is SEC Parlay Pick Day on Friday. It's made possible by Brian Harden Construction, a diverse business, crane and equipment rentals up to 320-ton cranes available, the CNC machines, reverse engineering, laser cutting, specialists in modern construction. It's bhardenconst.com. Experience you can count on. Let's build something together. The website, very informative. It is bhardenconst.com. Brian Harden Construction.
Here to possible. Chase for business. Make more with yours. Real business owner compensated for their participation. Cards issued by J.P. Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC. Subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
TuscaloosaToyota.com. A huge part of our show. We are powered by those guys every single day. The service department, always great. The new inventory side, all those new Toyotas comes with that lifetime powertrain warranty. And right now, we have the most inventory that we've had in over 2.5 years. Camrys, Corollas, RAV4s, Highlanders, 4Runners, Tundras, Tacomas, also the pre-owned inventory. Most of the pre-owned inventory.
And respiratory therapists can assist you with all your CPAP needs. Call 339-8013 or stop by Mid-South in the Northbrook Plaza on McFarland Boulevard.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A warm afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds. A few scattered showers and storms are possible through the evening hours. The high today 86, the low tonight 65. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. A few scattered showers or storms are possible. The high 83. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 75 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
The Game with Ryan Fowler. Powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. On your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9. And streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Anymore. My tears no longer wait. My resistance ain't that strong. mind keeps recreating a life with you alone. And I'm tired of pretending I don't love you anymore. Let me make one last appeal to show you how I feel about you.
All right, we welcome you right back into the game. We're opening up phone lines. We're free the rest of the way home. We had Rodney Orr a couple of minutes ago. We had TiderInsider.com. We had J.D. Piquel a couple of minutes ago. A lot of fun, a bit of visit with him. We're having some fun with you. We want to hear from you at 205-342-9904. We're giving away Travis Tritt tickets. That's been the theme. We threw out a little Travis Tritt. He's coming to the AMP next Friday night. You can win a pair right here on the game. And we're having some fun. If you want to jump in, we'd love to have you. 205-342-9904. 205-342-9904. And we've got about an hour and, 30 minutes left. So if you want to jump in, we'd love to have you at 205-342-9904. We're throwing around the conversation around Kalen DeBoer. Now, JD, and I respect his opinion, Brian Kelly. Now, Brian Kelly's not on any of the lists that I have seen. Now, I'm a guy that said Brian Kelly would win a national title in 5 years, that he would win a national title in 5 years. I gotta say this, though. If you're going to be Brian Kelly and you're going to be able to go out and win a national title, you better improve on that defensive side of the football because, and that's the same thing in Tuscaloosa, right? Offensive guys, are we going to have as much attention to detail on the defensive side? I think so. This portal was going to help Alabama out. It doesn't seem to be a lot of buzz out there. And is that a valid argument? Because I did have someone that said, hey, is there any way that these collectives are out of money? Just something to think about. 205-342-9904. Hey, Ron, in Maryland, how are you, Ron? Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
I'm doing great, Ron. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Hey, look, I got a lot to get off my chest today.
All right, go ahead.
First of all, I've heard on your show, I've read in the internet, because Connor Talty barely missed a 45-yard field goal in A-Day. Oh, Alabama needs a kicker. We need a kicker. These people probably don't realize that he was supposed to be our kicker last year. And right up until right at the last minute, Will Riker decided to come back to Alabama instead of going to the NFL. And we've already seen him play in real games. He played in 3 games last year. And he was the one that kicked off against Mississippi State, and that Mississippi State returner ran through the whole Alabama kickoff return team and was headed for a touchdown, and the only person he had to beat was the kicker, and Talty came up and laid a linebacker-esque slobber knocker on him and saved a touchdown, and the announcers were like, whoa, and his teammates were going crazy. He was great when Will Riker came back. He said, that's fine. I'll redshirt. I'll get some college coaching. I'll continue to work on my craft, and I'll learn as much as I can from Will Riker, the best kicker in Alabama history. So we're going to be fine at kicker.
Okay.
Second thing, Coach DeBoer is the best coach in college football. And
now,
if people don't think
Ron, are you saying projection or currently now?
My opinion.
Okay. Based on what?
What I've seen. Okay. And what I've heard. Every time I hear him interviewed, I can't be more impressed. And anybody that don't think we're going to have an explosive offense must have been dropped on their head when they're infant. We hired an offensive guru as our head coach. And our defensive coordinator has more talent than he's ever had before on his roster. We'll be fine. Some places we're young, but we're very talented. We'll be okay. But on offense and defense in the 8A game, Coach DeBoer said, we're going to be very basic. We're not showing anything. If we're not showing anything, I already saw stuff. I saw tight ends being used in the passing game. I saw running backs being used in offense in the passing game. We have a 3-headed monster in our running game. We have a quarterback that defenses are so afraid of that last year Georgia didn't put just one spy on him. They put 2 spies on him. I saw running backs and wide receivers blocking downfield. I saw us lining up in the pistol, sometimes run out of it, sometimes we would. Sometimes right before the ball was snapped, we'd shift out of the pistol before the defense had a chance to adjust to it. I saw all kinds of things, and this is basic. He's still installing the offense. it's going to be good this year. I am not kidding. And I got one more thing I want to say.
All right, but hold on. Let me throw this out. If you don't get any help in the portal, you're okay with that?
My opinion on that is I don't think you're going to have a bunch of superstar starters going in the portal unless they're just looking for NIL. I think you're going to find people that are not happy in their situation. They want more playing time. So I don't know if you're going to find a starter. I mean, we've done it a couple of times at defensive back and, Steen when we got him from Vanderbilt on the offensive line. But I don't know if we're going to, I just don't know what is going to be available in the transfer portal. So I'm just hoping we hang on to all our guys. But so I don't know. That's a liquid kind of thing.
Yeah,
right
we've lost
now.
a couple of walk-on guys, but I think it says a lot about.
I don't think we've lost anything that hurts us.
No, I don't either.
Everybody thought when Saban retired that we were just going to get decimated, but that did not happen. So
that's what they told us. That's what they told us, that it was going to all slide.
Sayan and Downs left for money, and that's really the two biggest things we lost. And
but
anyway,
the portal was mean to us back in January, right? I mean, we did lose, quite a bit.
Right. And one other thing I want to say that I heard this morning that I found interesting. Greg Byrne was on, and he said that over the past couple of years, he has been talking to top coaches that he knew, and he named who he talked to, and he said that he's been talking to him over the past couple of years. When he'd run into him, he'd say, "Hey, what do you think about this DeBoer guy?" And he said that everybody was giving him glowing reviews.
Where was he on, Ron? Was it the next round? Because that's the interview. Okay.
Yeah. He was the first guest on the next round. And so he said he's been asking people about DeBoer for a couple of years, and he's been watching video of games that he coached for a couple of years. And so this is not a last-minute hire. He's been planning
that
for
confirms
the day
my conspiracy, Ron. It confirms my conspiracy. When you just added that to it, I did not hear the interview. I did hear some of the interview with Kalen DeBoer on with those guys. They were doing
right. I heard that too.
All right, but I think
and I kept wanting to put that dang hat on so he wouldn't get sunburned on his head, but he never did. But anyway,
no, I think they targeted Kalen DeBoer, and let me tell you, this is my hypothetical timeline. You ready for this? Okay. Nick Saban went to Greg Byrne and said, we're going to have to evaluate this year after year. We're no longer going to be able to do these long spurts, okay? We're going to have to do this year after year. He admitted that he was getting tired. Now, he didn't say that publicly, just said it to Greg Byrne. So Greg Byrne, being the AD that he is, he began to evaluate, began to look ahead, began to say, okay, let's see who's next. Who could be a guy that could replace? If Coach Saban said, I'm done after this year, then where would I go? Where would I go? So here we are, walking through. When Kalen DeBoer hired Jimmy Sexton last summer, that should have been a little bit of a sign. Then when you go through the process of a couple of contracts, it just seems like that maybe this guy was the number one target, that he was the guy that they were going.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. This guy, it just seems like I'm not saying that they were doing anything behind the scenes. I'm just saying I think they targeted him, and I would not put it past Nick Saban to say, this is my guy. This is the guy, because I think he had a choice in this. You could also walk back when he interviewed Ryan Grubb. This is the part that I'd love to know. Was he interviewing Ryan Grubb to become his offensive coordinator, or was he interviewing Ryan Grubb to find out more about Kalen DeBoer? Because they brought him to Tuscaloosa and evaluated him here. And, Ron, you know the best way to find out somebody about a boss is you interview their employees. How does this guy treat you? What's he like? What's he like?
Yeah, so, from what Byrne said this morning, with Saban's age, it was a yearly thing. Just, how much longer is he going to go? And So he's been doing his homework on DeBoer for a couple of years. He's been watching video of games he coached and all of this stuff. Yeah, it wasn't a last-minute thing. Now I understand why when Coach Saban walked into that room on January 10th and said, hey, I'm retiring. As soon as they could fire up the jet engines, Greg Byrne jumped on the plane and flew to Seattle. It didn't take him any time. And what was it, like 41 hours, and he had him hired, something like that? I mean, he's been planning for this.
That is quick.
Right.
And for it to all happen, you know, like I said, I got my hypothetical that.
Oh, I know, but I mean, a lot of it was confirmed.
And said, and I almost wonder if that was the confirmation that they needed, because remember now, national championship game on a Monday evening. Nick Saban retires hours after that.
I know.
And then they get a guy pretty quick. And I've thrown my hypothetical off the person who counts. And let's just say I wasn't shot down fairly quickly. So that's my hypothetical. I'm going to stick to it until I'm proven wrong.
Well, I'm telling you, from what he said this morning, he's been planning for this moment.
Now, Ron, does that also connect why Kalen DeBoer has embraced? Because a lot of coaches would run away from having a Nick Saban in the building, or having him close by, or having him speak to the team, or having him, you know, in some capacity be associated with the program.
I think that's just DeBoer's personality.
It could be.
I mean, he is a competitor. I mean, he's smart. I mean, look, every time I hear him interviewed, I come away thinking, what recruit wouldn't want to play for this guy? And I come away thinking, which mama wouldn't want their son playing for this guy? That's the kind of when you hear him talk, that's what he leaves you with. That's the impression he gives you. And so I think we're going to kill it in recruiting when people when they watch what this team does, and when they get to meet Coach DeBoer. I think we're going to kill it in recruiting. I think Greg Byrne couldn't have hit a better home run. I mean, and look what he did with Coach Oates. I mean, this is 2 home runs in a row, in my opinion. And it kills me. I heard JD say that he would have had Sarkisian higher than DeBoer. Last time the two of them coached against each other, Sarkisian had much more talent on his roster, and he got beat. And he got beat in the playoffs by this guy. So I'll take the guy that wins, even if he doesn't have the talent on his team.
Got it.
So,
all right.
But now he's got more talent than he's ever had in his lifetime. So I'm excited to see what he does.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you as always.
All right. Roll Tide, Ryan.
Ron in Maryland helping us out there. That leaves one line available, 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. If you want to jump in, we'd love to have you. Let me also tell you about the Wharf. People in West Alabama work extremely hard, whether you're up in the coal mines or in the great factories, or maybe you're down at Breinhard Construction, and you got to have those steel-toed boots to protect you from welding or maybe dropping a piece of I-beam installation fabrication on your leg. Steel-toed boot protects your feet. You can find it there, or just a regular work boot that you'll find. It is the Wharf. All the name brands that you've trusted since 1976, a 48 years since 1976. It is the Work in Western headquarters for the entire family. You'll find Wrangler, Levi Lee. You'll find all the great Carhartt clothing. It is the Wharf since 1976. We'll continue with more of the game. We're taking your phone calls. We'd love for you to jump in. 205-34.
Head over to your local Wendy's establishment and get yours while supplies last. The new Orange Dreamsicle Frosty. Here for the now? For now.
Limited time only. Participating Wendy's.
You know, we talk about grilling so often. If you want to dominate the grill today or any day, go visit our friends at Mark's Mark in downtown Northport. I walk in there all the time, and there's new things added, whether you're trying to amp up the spice cabinet or whether you're going in for a great ribeye, a salmon swirl, a chicken swirl, that's what they're home of since 1978. The seafood entrees, the great cheesecake, the great pies that are made here locally in Alabama, the Blue Spring Living Water. You'll find
Tide.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Need to know what's going on with the Crimson Tide? Then subscribe to our YouTube channel for exclusive content on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Center Urgent Family Medicine. No appointment necessary. The super doctors who live and work in our community is MedCenterUrgentCare.com, MedCenterUrgentCare.com, MedCenterUrgentCare.com. Fayette, Demopolis, Hoover, Alabama, Tuscaloosa, Northport, North River, right there off Rice Mine Road. MedCenterUrgentCare.com, MedCenterUrgentCare.com. Let's take phone calls, and we're going to Bubba in Northport. Bubba, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
It is all well, my friend.
Good.
Just celebrating my last days in the 50s.
Uh-oh, your cell phone faded out. You said the last day in the 50s?
Yeah, I turned the big 60 tomorrow. So,
woo. Now, what does that get you, like a 50-cent cup of coffee?
Yeah, the 15-cent discount at the movie theater.
Does it really get a 50-cent discount on a movie theater?
No, it's like $5 off.
Okay, well, that's pretty solid. You and Coach Saban. I mean, Coach Saban loves the movie theater. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did. I did know that, actually.
You did?
That's good. He probably has his own theater in his house, though. You reckon?
I would imagine. I think they do. I think they do have a theater. I've never been in there, but I think I've heard that there is a theater in there.
I want to get in this discussion about the coaches. Your last caller was saying, I mean, there's been several people today saying that why would the Texas coach say what he said about?
It's so funny. It's so funny because everybody wants to turn down the Alabama job. Like Mike Norvell. Okay, just take Mike Norvell for just a couple of minutes. Did you happen to see that culture? Because they didn't make it in the playoffs because what? Alabama. And did you see that culture that they had created?
Yes.
Just shut it down, right? Just shut it down. No pride there. Is that a coach that you want running your program?
No.
I mean, maybe. I think it's a fair judgment.
I knew he had an attitude problem, just the way he acted when they announced that Alabama was getting in and there wasn't. You could see it on his face.
Now, he handled it with class, and he said a lot of the correct things, but at the end of the day, that is a culture.
Right.
Because we saw it the previous year. Alabama didn't get in. Some of that was self-inflicted. But at the end of the day, they still suited up and played.
That's right. And we had all our players didn't opt out or nothing. They went and played in the Sugar Bowl and beat the crap out of the Big 12 champs. And Alabama has a lot of pride. I don't know. I was sitting back trying to think since they started doing the opting out, we really ain't had nobody to do that. Say, okay, I'm not playing. They always end up playing.
I think there was a couple early on that shut it down, but not almost an entire team.
Majority of them.
And then remember who we blamed, right? After that had happened with Florida State, we blamed the college football folks. Instead, he's the head coach, Mike Norvell. So to answer the question, I mean, he could have been on the list. I think that was all about trying to get him a raise and trying to build some collateral with his fan base.
Don't Shark have Jimmy Stetson, his agent, too? Didn't Jimmy Stetson his agent?
Yeah, I'm almost certain that they are. I believe Sark does.
He could have picked up the phone and say, hey, Nick Saban just retired. Would you be interested? He probably said no. I mean, that's a possibility. That could have happened. And Greg Byrne not know about it. But I'm glad to get who we got, in my opinion. I also
all right, so where would you put Kalen DeBoer when you're ranking coaches? ESPN put him at 2. Is that about right, or do you think he should be higher or lower?
I think it's about right.
He's got a 14-1 record last year. His record in college athletics is 37-9. He was 67-3 at NAIA. 25-3 in 2 seasons at UW with a national championship game appearance.
And it couldn't be Sharp because he beat Sharp twice.
He did.
Yeah, I mean,
if
yeah, I say yes. It should be number 2.
Okay,
that's Bubba's opinion. From
and Bubba, that's why we appreciate you, man. Because see, Ron in Maryland said 1. I can't put him at 1.
Right. I think 2 is fair. I
think 2 is fair. And if you want to put somebody else there at 2 and put him at 3, go for it.
I can see that. I don't know who you would put. I don't think Dabo's in the top 5 at all, based on his performance in the last 5 or 6 years. 5 years.
He's still got national titles, and I understand people don't like him, and I think a lot of it's because of his faith. I'm a Dabo fan.
I love Dabo.
And you almost wonder now, because he doesn't. Does he lose that favoritism with that fan base? Or does he gain more favoritism? Because the Clemson fans were always nervous that he would go to Tuscaloosa. He didn't even get a phone call.
Right.
Did not even get a phone call, Bubba.
I'm pretty sure they're at ease that we got who we got. I bet he don't want to play us.
Well, I'm going to pull for Dabo. I like him. He's an Alabama guy. We do that.
I do too. I like him because he's a Christian man and he does it his faith in the right way.
Well, and he took a program. When you look at Clemson, come on. I mean, what are they known for? Not much. He took that. He made it a national brand.
But anyway.
All right, Bubba.
That's my opinion.
Well, thank you. I hope you have a good day, man. We appreciate you.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. We're going to get to Pat coming up in a couple of minutes. T-Town. Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Long line of brake lights on 69 on the northbound lanes to Union Chapel Road. It's tight back to McFarland. And speaking of McFarland, had its own issues on that northwest lane at Watermelon Road, and you do definitely still have some delays in the area. Inside
is your number 1 dealer, and they'll beat any written offer or pay you $1,000. Keeping you number 1 keeps Townsend Nissan number 1. See dealer for details.
Alabama Credit Union. Feel good about your money. AlabamaCU.com. The mobile app makes banking so much more convenient. All the mobile deposits, many times you don't even have to go into the bank to manage your money, whether we're talking about checking, savings, mortgage, home equity loan, financing a vehicle. And remember, Roll Tide, show your pride with the official credit card of the University of Alabama Alumni Association.
Just best quality to our customers. So we just look at it as, hey, basically, we're your kitchen. You're just coming to eat in your kitchen. Taco Casa, under the biggest cactus in town.
Rumsey Environmental, serving the sound of my voice with waste removal services, portable toilet services, construction debris removal containers customized to fit your job site. Maybe it's remodeling. Maybe it's the storage containers. We did this about a year ago, moved all of our furniture into a storage container, brought out the construction debris removal containers. They customized to fit your job site. When you talk about when you have to know it's being done right, that's the time to call Rumsey Environmental, 205-248-0002, 205-248-0002. Rumsey Environmental, a one-stop shop serving West Alabama for all of your waste removal needs.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A warm afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds. A few scattered showers and storms are possible through the evening hours. The high today 86, the low tonight 65. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. A few scattered showers or storms are possible. The high 83. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 77 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
It's the Tide 100.9 30K workday payday. Woo! Win cash every weekday 8 to 5. Here's this hour's cash code.
366. Again, that's 366. The code is 366.
Enter that code now on the Tide 100.9 app. Click on the 30K payday button and enter the code for a chance to win $30,000.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Dan Beyer.
The Miami Heat have ruled Jimmy Butler out of their game tomorrow against the Bulls because of the MCL injury to his right knee, suffered it last night in that loss to the 76ers. Now the Heat will host the Bulls tomorrow for the right to face the Celtics in the first round of the NBA playoffs. ESPN reports that the Bulls are getting good news on the ankle of Alex Caruso and that they're optimistic that Caruso has a chance to play tomorrow in Miami. Ravens wide receiver Zay Flowers will not face any penalty after the NFL says they found insufficient evidence he violated the league's personal conduct policy following allegations made in January. Chargers signed free agent running back J.K. Dobbins to a one-year deal. Commanders GM Adam Peters told reporters the team is comfortable sitting at number 2 in next week's NFL draft, while Patriots director of scouting Elliot Wolf says they're open to trading the number 3 overall pick. Kentucky's Reed Shepherd's entering the 2024 NBA draft. Former Wisconsin forward A.J. Storr is transferring to Kansas.
Don Wattis CPA, 527 Main Avenue in downtown Northport. Small business and personal income taxes, payroll, sales tax needs. They can also help you with nonprofit or church accounting or auditing. In business since 1999, they work for you, not the IRS. When you take on taxes, you got to have someone on your side. It's Don Wattis CPA, 205-345-5595, 205-345-5595. Don Wattis CPA, the official accountant of the game.
Rolling down a backwoods Tennessee byway, one arm on the wheel, holding my lover with the other, a sweet, soft southern thrill. Worked hard all week, got a little jingle on a Tennessee Saturday night. Couldn't feel better, I'm together with my Dixieland tonight. Spend my dollar, parked in a holler beneath the mountain moonlight. Hold her up tight, make a little loving, a little turn it oven on a Mason-Dixon night. It's my life.
All right, let's count through the credentials of the University of Alabama. We do it every day. It's starting at 5 o'clock. Just to remind you, you never know. We might have a Tiger, an LSU Bengal Tiger driving through, an Auburn Tiger, a Cal College member. an alum, a poultry science major, a grass grower, all of the above. They could be walking in, and we got to make sure that we remind them of the great credentials of the University of Alabama. We do it every day at 5 o'clock. Let's go through them. It is 18 national titles, 30 SEC titles, 3-0. Nearest team, 13, Georgia. I think Tennessee's got 12. We've more than doubled them up. 30 SEC titles, 147 first-team All-Americans, 77 postseason appearances, 45 postseason victories, 4 Heisman winners, the NCAA all-time scoring leader, and the greatest football coaches to ever walk the sidelines. We are talking a little Alabama Crimson Tide football. We've thrown around several different topics today. We've been running through this ProFootballFocus.com, little college football coaches. When you look at the coaches in college football, they've got just a random question, and it says, Kalen DeBoer is what number top coach in college football? Where would you have him? Where would you have Kalen DeBoer? Where would you have him in there? ESPN responded, and they've got him at number 2. They've got him at number 2. They got Kirby Smart at number 1. They got Kyle Whittingham at number 3. They've got Dabo at 4. They've got Mike Norvell at 5. Dan Lanning at 6. I don't see Hugh Freeze listed. I thought Hugh Freeze would be in this top 5.
Kirby Smart could take this number 1.
My Lord, Noah. Boy, this show is really growing on you, is it not? I mean, you've got to... Wow. Noah, fired up today. I mean, Simon's over there hanging out with you. I mean, I
had a good lunch.
You did. You did have a good lunch. But, wow, Noah, I hope Kirby didn't hear that. He's got friends in Tuscaloosa. Sark is at 7. Lane Kiffin's at 8. We're asking the question, where would you have Kalen DeBoer? Your unbiased opinion, because remember now, we're all unbiased. Let's go to Pat in Tuscaloosa, powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. Buy 3 tires, get that 4th tire for only $1. It's happening at Tuscaloosa Toyota. How about a Tundra? How about a Tacoma? How about a 4Runner? How about a Highlander? A RAV4, Camry, Corolla. It is Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. Let's go to Pat in Tuscaloosa. Pat, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Ryan, I'm glad you mentioned that because, believe it or not, it's cheaper to go buy tires at the Toyota dealership than it is to go buy them at Walmart. But only thing, Walmart, there's one in most every small town in America. But we might have to hunt for a Toyota dealership. But they are cheaper at the Toyota dealership, and as well as over here in Tuscaloosa. So that's thank you for bringing that up to the loyal fans of the show, because you are now becoming a national product, not just an international, I guess, as far as that goes. You count Mr. Blueberry. And next time you talk to him, ask him when his blueberries come in season. I want to go up and get me some of them.
Would you drive all the way to Montreal to get blueberries?
You forget my kinfolks. My grandson's half Canadian.
Okay.
So I have to go up there occasionally anyway.
Okay.
But I can make it around
Blueberry Steve. When does your blueberries come in? Blueberry Steve, calling Blueberry Steve.
Anyway,
calling Blueberry Steve.
Hey, let's get back to our Dabo question, or what you was talking about, Dabo. I hope our listeners will not talk bad about Dabo. Dabo could very well be the next coach at Alabama. The very next coach that we have at Alabama could be Dabo. And, hey, one Mr. Gene Stallings.
He was in town, by the way. He was in town. I know Tony Sakalas had a great article kind of giving some quotes out there about Coach Stallings. So, Coach, we always welcome you.
He gave a quote that Dabo could be the next coach at Alabama. That it was not Dabo's time currently, but that Dabo would eventually coach at Alabama. That's what Coach Stallings said, and I kind of have a lot of faith in what Coach says. But anyway, hey, let's get back to get the reason we're calling.
So what would that mean? That Kalen DeBoer would be recruited away from here? Is that?
Who knows what will happen to Coach DeBoer? Dabo's still a very young guy, and that he could eventually be back here. But because when we go looking for another coach, there will be a call made to his telephone. But I do thoroughly believe that.
Yeah, and Coach Stallings did give Kalen DeBoer some advice via Tony Sakalas, which is a guy that we feature here on our program. You can read more about it there on the Rivals website. He goes, my advice, I'd tell him not to start off the way I did, 0-3. That's great. That is great.
We'll be looking for that coach quicker than what he thinks.
Yeah, we lost our first 3 games, which they did, 0-3, and they beat Tennessee.
Yeah. But what my hat's off to him, and why Pat should never be put in charge of recruiting, because I like recruiting a whole bunch. But he's gone out and found what could possibly be the second coming of David Palmer. Oh my Lord! Did that just come out of my mouth?
Now, Pat, what are you doing here? You amping somebody up? Is it Ryan Williams? Is this who you're saying?
No. Not Ryan Williams. And he's done gone into the great state of New Jersey and picked up a wide receiver that's 5'9", 170 pounds or so, and can fly. Oh my Lord! Hey,
what's his time? What's his time?
Hey, we talking Titus Ryan. Hey, this kid. Oh, he's much faster than Cole. Much faster than Cole. Go in and look at his film, Ryan. Oh my God! But this guy could be Titus Ryan kind of fast. Titus, we never was able to get Titus in school here, but Titus was down in that 4.16 range, and this guy's fast. Oh Lord! Now, I don't know, and it could be that up in the Northeast, he just doesn't play against any kind of competition. But he had 61 touchdowns. But, he's fast. But, I want our fans to get on there and go like him. We just got him committed, and I hope he stays committed. But it's unreal to have that kind of speed, to see that kind of speed. The D-back gave him 15 yards of cushion, and he blew by him and cut that another 15 yards past him within the blink of an eye.
Yeah, I'm looking up because I want to see the 40-yard dash time.
Yeah. That 40-yard dash time doesn't matter. This kid's got wiggle. He's got,
you've already put him in the David Palmer category. Wow.
Yes, I'm putting him in a Palmer category. I hadn't seen. The kid down in Elba, Alabama. I see why Coach DeBoer and them didn't put the full court press, because I couldn't understand why the full court press wasn't in Elba, Alabama. But this kid, they already had one in the back pocket. This kid's quick.
Okay. 6 foot, 170 pounds. Going to have to beef him up a little bit, Pat.
Well, hey, but you understand, Palmer was 5'8" and 160. Did Palmer need to be any faster? Did Palmer need to be any bigger?
I'm watching some of the video. I don't know if I'm ready to say David Palmer, but man, he is fast. There is another level of speed. Now I don't know who he's running against.
At my point exactly, he could be.
He's got a little wiggle. He's got a little wiggle. I'm looking at the video. Wow, he does have a little wiggle.
Yeah. He could be a big fish in a small pond. But hey, all I can tell you is that video shows that he's pretty quick. So my hat's off to Coach DeBoer. And that's why Pat shouldn't be in charge of recruiting, because I've never gone into New Jersey looking for speed personified like that.
Okay. All right. Well, roll Tide. Pat, here we go. Answer this question for me. Kalen DeBoer is where in college football? Who's the best coach in college football? Let's start there.
Oh, we got to go with who's got the most championships. And that guy lives in the state next to us, and it's easier for him to get kids that are borderline anything over there with a Hope Scholarship, things that we don't have here in Tuscaloosa. You know, they got that lottery over there, and they use that for getting borderline kids in school, baseball, you know, whatever they want to tiddlywinks, whatever they want to play over there, they got money for them. And we don't have, you know, we're poor here in Alabama. And Grandma doesn't want us.
Well, Grandma just bought a bridge down in Orange Beach, so we are kind of poor. We
bought another bridge,
Yeah,
or she bought the one. She bought the one back from Bob James's boy.
Yeah, I guess it's Grandma Ivy, which is our governor. She just bought the bridge for the Foley Express. So there we go.
Okay. Well, I don't know about all that. I'm just.
She's going to make it. She's going to make it free.
Yeah, make it free. Okay. And
so you're not going to have to pay the tolls anymore.
As much taxes as is collected down in that area, it ought to be free. Good gracious, there's so many people come down from Wisconsin to pay taxes down there, and ain't money. In the wintertime, they loaded down there with snowbirds, you know. I mean, it's getting to the point that you can't go to our favorite place to get some swamp cabbage without having to wait in line almost.
There we go. Well, Pat, we appreciate your phone call, man.
I appreciate you giving me a chance to tell you about this young man that Lotzier is his name, is his first name, I guess. Am I saying that? I'm probably butchering that name. But it's
I thought you were talking about Zamir Smith, but you're talking about Lotzier Brooks. Lotzier Brooks. And maybe I may be saying it wrong.
Watch his video, Ryan. Oh, my Lord. Man, hey, the guy you just watched has good video, watch him. Oh, man.
Now, are we still going to get that? Are we still going to get that Bama bump? Because we got to get him up to a 4-star.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. He'll be before December. He'll be that 5-star we're looking for. All right. Hey, have a blessed one, Ryan. Because even Coach DeBoer, with a script A behind him, he's going to be able to get all them players up another star or two across the board.
All right.
Anyway, it's the way it's supposed to be.
Thank you.
All right, have a great one.
Yeah, right back to you.
Hey, take that wife to see that Death by Chocolate, but you're too a little bit late. You should already be underway if you was going. All right.
I don't have a clue what you're talking about.
Oh, this afternoon at the down at the on the Riverwalk, they're having Death by Chocolate. All the people that create chocolate dishes throughout Tuscaloosa are giving away their very best.
Yeah, we've been advertising a little. I've been seeing things about it. If you're a big chocolate fan, Death by Chocolate.
Death by Chocolate. I'm in, but I didn't know anything about it. I guess I.
Oh, I'm sorry I didn't tell you about it ahead of time.
Yeah, shame on you.
My daughter-in-law bought me tickets to it.
So,
all right, I'm on my way.
You're on your way?
Yep. Have a blessed one.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Pat. Pat's headed down to the Death by Chocolate. You guys watch out for him down there. The Pharmacy at Midtown. The Pharmacy at Midtown. TJ Thomas, 205-752-0627. It is the Pharmacy at Midtown. TJ Thomas, the Nick Saban of pharmacists. If your pharmacist doesn't have an Alabama shirt on, you don't want him. The sterile compounding facility you will find at the Pharmacy at Midtown, serving Tuscaloosa since 1984. All the compounding needs. And it's more than, pharmaceutical. They also do vet compounding for your special pet in your family. And with your veterinarian and pharmacy at midtown.com. PharmacyMidtown.com. We'll continue with more of the game. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
Tuscaloosa police officers breached into an empty apartment last night after a caller threatened to commit double murder-suicide. The threat proved to be staged and no one was home or injured. Workers at the Mercedes automotive plant in Tuscaloosa will vote on whether to join the United Auto Workers Union during a week-long period next month. And the city's third Guthrie's Fried Chicken restaurant is open now in the same place where one used to stand on Skyland Boulevard. For the details on these stories and more, get
coverage and sports updates when you download the free Tuscaloosa Thread app and sign up for twice daily email newsletters.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Earlier crash on 15th Street southbound near 10th Avenue cleared. Residual backups unwinding. Inside the construction zone, not so much. 2059 northeast direction at Joe Malisham Parkway. We do still have bumper-to-bumper.
At PearlRiverResort.com. Brian McKnight
4. Southern Ale House, 1530 McFarland Boulevard. Eat Southern, be Southern. All the biscuit sandwiches, the great Southern cuisine like the bacon wrapped meatloaf, the fish and taters. All the great sandwiches like the Yardbird, the great salads, the daily lunch and dinner specials Monday through Saturday at Southern Ale House. We've also opened up an additional part of Southern Ale House and expanded with our catering needs there to fulfill what you're looking for. 205-248-7500.
Carpet project today at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Installation included qualifying purchases. Exclusions apply for licenses. See HomeDepot.com/license numbers.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A warm afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds. A few scattered showers and storms are possible through the evening hours. The high today 86, the low tonight 65. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. A few scattered showers or storms are possible. The high 83. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 75 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Light up those phone lines on the game with Ryan Fowler. 205-342-9904. You're inside the game on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Brian Hard Construction Free-for-All Friday, ASME certification, I-beam installation, fabrication. If you're building for the ground up, let's build something together. It's Brian Hard Construction. And always, our show is powered every single Friday by Brian Harden Construction. Let's go to David. David, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
Good afternoon. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, David. Roll Tide. What's on your mind, my friend?
I'm glad you took my call. I've been listening. I didn't get through the last couple of days, but the lady I think is up in Illinois, is it Kathy or something?
Cindy in Illinois.
Cindy,
yeah.
And it's nothing against her, but I disagree with her 100%. She said be realistic that we would probably be 8-4 or 9-3. I'm being realistic that we can be 12-0 and possibly worse, 11-1.
I like your attitude, David.
And
I mean, you heard Kayvon DeBoer earlier. We played the audio. He said that's why you come to Tuscaloosa.
That's exactly right. And look at what he's done wherever he's been. And people's forgetting this team, where we was at last year. We're one play away from playing for the national championship. And you know, the team last year was good enough to win a national championship. And they know that. And I think that the players and the coaches, they're determined. They're planning on winning every game. And me as a fan, I expect that. And, you know, I'm going to support that. And I'm going to believe in that till somebody proves me different.
Well, think about this, David. If you think about Kayvon DeBoer and the coaching staff that came from UW playing the national championship game, losing in that championship grade, created a hunger.
That's exactly right.
Also, our players went through that.
That's it. That is exactly right. And we got some great freshmen. We've got some players that's worked hard in the off season, that got playing time last year, that's improved, that's got stronger. They haven't forgot last season. And it's not just the players and the coaches, and it's fans like me. You know, it's fans like you. We believe and we want and we expect. And the players know that. The coaches know that. So it's realistic that we can go 12-0. I don't know why nobody can't see that.
Well, the part that kind of gets me fired up, I'd love to be able to see Alabama win a national title, but I'd also love to see the Georgia fans kind of have the panic button. I'd love to see LSU with T-Bob and his lovely friends down in Baton Rouge hit the panic button. Because, see, they celebrated when Nick Saban retired. I mean, they literally threw a parade, people out. You know, we know what the barn does. The barn does stupid stuff anyway. Auburn's down there rolling trees, but
Puke Orange, they celebrated.
But I mean, they all celebrated because they're like, yes, Nick Saban's retiring. And now it looks like Kalen DeBoer's got him a little bit worried.
Well, like I said, and one more comment, two more. I got a question for you. I get off.
Yeah.
Another comment was the other caller that just spoke. No offense to him neither. But he was talking about Dabo getting a phone call and maybe our next coach.
Yeah.
And Gene Stallings may have told him that. Coach Stallings may have told him that. But I have to agree to disagree again. Unless Dabo changes his ways, he will never be the coach at Alabama. And if he receives a phone call, he's going to have to change a lot of ways. And it's going to be a long time because I really think Coach DeBoer, he's going to be here a long time. And I know people a lot of people don't believe that, but he will win championships. And I think he can be here 15 to 20 years. He can be here as long as he wants to. All he has to do is win, baby. And he knows that. And he's won everywhere he's been.
Well, David, let's go back to Dabo for just a minute, okay? Because I'm a big Dabo fan. Let's say if he would have embraced NIL, the transfer portal, all the things above.
Well, he didn't do that, and he hasn't.
But what if he would have done that? Do you think he would have been considered a little bit more?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, a lot. Yes. But I think they got exactly who they wanted. Really, I do. I don't think they wanted Norvell. They didn't want Kiffin. They got who they wanted. And I think he was their number one man.
I do as well.
I think I do too.
And I don't think he was a number one guy from a few days ago. I think he was a number one guy that they had targeted and said, we're going to bring this guy to Tuscaloosa.
Nick wanted him there. You know that as offensive coordinator.
Ryan Grubb, yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Grubb. But he also, I think that Nick wanted. I think he highly recommended DeBoer. I mean, I really do.
So, do you think when they were interviewing Ryan Grubb that they were looking ahead, going?
Yes.
It just feels that way. And knowing the way that Greg Byrne operates, I think it's very possible.
Hey, one quick question before I get off here. I want you to see what you can find out for me. I haven't heard no talk much about it, and I need to check into it myself. But Amari Jefferson, wide receiver. Amari Jefferson. Is he on campus? Is he practicing? He's from Baylor High School, and the kid, if he gets in the weight room, he's going to be special, and nobody's talked about him. That's a little nugget for you.
Okay, so you got some. Well, and he'll be here in June, I guess is right.
Sorry, that's the reason we haven't heard nothing. But that's a little nugget. Amari Jefferson.
So what do you know about him, David? I mean, now you got me intrigued.
Go watch his highlights. He played at Bader High School. I work in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The kid can play. He can make plays. You know, all we're talking about is Ryan Williams. Listen, I'm great. Ryan Williams is great. I look forward to seeing him play. But we haven't talked about Amari Jefferson. I'm telling you, the kid can play.
In Baylor School, the reason why we know Baylor School is because of the famous John Hanna worked there for a little bit.
That's exactly right. And if I'm not mistaken, we may be recruiting a running back. We may have just offered the running back that's going to be a senior at Baylor High School this year. And I can't recall his name, but I'm pretty sure that we did offered him here recently.
I got you. Well, that might be a question for one of our recruiting analysts.
Okay. Well, hey man, it's great. It's great to be a Bama fan. Great to be on the radio, hear you. Great show. Love Bama Nation. Love all the callers, and love listening to you, man.
Well, thank you, David. Appreciate you, man. Thank you, and don't be a stranger, okay?
I got you, buddy. Thank you.
Hey, roll tide to you.
Bama.
Yeah, roll tide to you. David calling us from up in Tennessee. We appreciate their Cookeville, Tennessee. Thank you very much for your phone call. Corey, we're going to get to you. We're going to take phone calls, 205-342-9904. We're giving away one pair of Travis Tritt tickets. He's coming to Tuscaloosa next Friday night at the Amp. Be a great place to hang out and watch a great musician perform. If you've never seen Travis Tritt in concert, be a great time. We're going to give away another pair tomorrow. We'll give away another pair in the final 30 minutes. If you want to jump in, 205-342-9904.
Pets.com/deal or text deal to 511-511. Text deal to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Nuke's Eatery right there on University Boulevard, 205 University Boulevard. Call ahead orders 205-758-2455. We always like to say close enough that you can smell the championships. It used to be the fringe of the campus of the University of Alabama. Now the campus has built around them. When you're talking about a great sandwich like the Nuke's Q sandwich, or maybe a great salad, that macaroni and cheese is outstanding. The bowl of soup, a cup of soup, as we lower temps here in West Alabama, you can parlay those and you can pick a pair. Maybe it's a California-style pizza. Maybe it's the great chicken salad, the pimento cheese. Catering from a small office party to a larger corporate event.
Insurance never goes flat. Learn more about the greatest tool ever, the Name Your Price tool at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Over 60 years of serving Tuscaloosa and West Alabama. When you talk about the friendly staff at Pat's Florist and Gourmet Baskets, 1010 Queen City Avenue, when you look at the fall floral arrangements, maybe you're trying to lift someone's spirits a little bit under the weather, celebrating a birthday or special occasion, it's Pat's Florist, 205-345-5093. Anniversary, birthday, get well, love, romance. Make someone smile today. Pat's Florist and Gourmet Baskets.
With only 43 seconds remaining, facing a 4th and goal from the 31-yard line at Jordan-Hare Stadium, quarterback Jalen Milroe finds himself under immense pressure, scrambling to connect with Isaiah Bond in the corner of the end zone for a miraculous come-from-behind victory over Auburn. The jaw-dropping 27-24 result came on the 10th anniversary of the Kick Six. Daniel Moore is proud to announce 4th and 31, his upcoming oil painting featuring the now famous Gravedigger play. New Life Art is now accepting pre-orders for limited edition fine art prints and canvases of 4th and 31. See the preliminary pencil sketch for the artist's full color painting at DanielMooreArt.com. Pre-order your artwork now by calling 1-800-735-2787 or by visiting DanielMooreArt.com.
For more from Tide 100.9,
let it fly, and there's it.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and SoundCloud.
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I think I'll make me some homemade soup. Feeling pretty good, and that's the truth. It's neither drink nor drug induced. No, I'm just doing alright. And it's a great day to be alive. I know the sun's still shining when I close my eyes. There's some hard times in the neighborhood, but why can't every day be
since I left home. Said good luck to every seed I'd sown. Gave it my best and then I left it alone. I hope they're doing all right. Now I look in the mirror and what do I see? A lone wolf there staring back at me. Long in the tooth, but
we welcome you right back into the game here in Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide sports. Let's go to Corey in Trussville. Corey, good afternoon. You're in the game. How are you, man?
Hey, Ryan, how you doing this afternoon?
Man, I'm great. I hope you are as well.
Yeah, I'm doing great. You were talking about there's a list out of the top college football coaches, and Kalen DeBoer is number 2. Is that right?
Yeah, let me pass this message on to Noah real quick. Alabama baseball is in currently a rain delay, but they still will go on at 5:55. So we'll kick it over to Roger Hoover. Just got a text from him. Alabama Texas A&M is going to be at a little bit of a rain delay. There's a small shower moving through. So instead of sending the pitchers out and letting them rest that arm, I guess they'll hold off for a couple of minutes, but they still will go to an update, and then they'll go into a rain delay. So, Noah, be ready for that if you need to replay an interview or whatever, but kick it at Fox Sports. But we will go live over there at 5:55 for an update. Then we'll go into a rain delay there. So still a little bit of a delay there. I know the ladies are out in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Sorry about that, Corey. I just had to give that update there.
If you don't mind, can you give me the top 5 of that coaching list?
I sure can. Who do you think's number 1?
Smart.
Do you? Okay, so this is the way we're going to do this, Corey. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Me too.
I hate that, but yes.
I mean, it hurts. It stings. And September the 29th, he may not be at that number 1 spot.
It's going to be a big game and a big challenge, but I think.
I mean, are you willing to go on the limb right now and pick Kalen DeBoer?
Not right now. Not on April. What's today? April 18th.
Okay.
Not now.
Okay.
But as we get closer to the game, I might change my mind.
Okay. All right. So Kalen DeBoer's number 2, according to this ESPN.com.
I can see that. Not saying I don't disagree. I'm just saying that I think we got a really good coach that has a really good attitude and a really good demeanor.
Okay, so you're saying you disagree with that?
No, I agree. I agree.
Oh, you agree? Okay.
I agree. I think that's a. I was just surprised that someone like Brad Carper would put him at number 2.
Kyle Whittingham at 3.
No, I disagree with that. I think he's a top 10 coach, but not number 3.
He's 162 and 79.
I know he's won a lot of games, but what big games? Well, he's never made it to the playoff.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a stretch at number 3. Dabo's at 4. Do you agree with that?
I would actually put Dabo at 3.
Okay. So Dabo's at 4. Mike Norvell is at 5.
I think that's more of recent success. You have to remember, how long has he been at Florida State? Like 3 years, maybe?
So his career record is, let's see, 69 and 33. But where was he at prior to that?
I don't remember. But the point I'm making is that if you're just going off recent success, yes, he had an amazing year. But if you look at the total,
yeah, he was at Memphis. I thought that's where it was. I was almost, for some reason, Virginia Tech kept cropping in my mind.
He had a good run at Memphis, but
but I mean, he's a $10 million coach. His overall record, he's a 31 and 17 coach.
I think a coach that I think Steve Sarkisian's a top 10 coach or a top 5 coach.
Okay, and Sark is not in the top 5. Dan Lanning's at 6. Sark's at 7.
Dan Lanning, maybe like number 9 or number 10. I could see that. Now, You're going to be shocked when I say this.
Hugh Freeze is at 8. What do you think about that?
Wow.
I'm just kidding with you. I'm pulling your leg.
Hey,
I'm pulling your leg. I hope nobody disconnected right there.
Yeah.
Hugh Freeze is nowhere to be found.
You're going to be shocked when I say this.
Uh-oh.
I don't think Ryan Day is a top 10 coach.
According to this, Ryan Day is number 10. He is number 10 with a 56-8 record, 39-3 in the Big Ten.
I don't think he's a top 10 coach, Ryan. I really don't. And I'll tell you why. He's not doing good against Michigan as of now, and he loses the big games when it matters. Okay. So, for me, I don't think he's a top 10 coach.
Okay. Well,
do you agree with that?
This is a very big, important year for Ryan Day.
Yes.
If he can't get the job done, Corey, there's going to be some unhappy Buckeyes up in Columbus, Ohio, and throughout the state of Ohio.
You get Michigan at home, and it's like getting Auburn at home for us. And I guess I don't know what their schedule is, but if they have a favorable schedule, they're supposed to make the playoff like we are. So, like you said, if things don't go the way they want them to go, which is expected to make the playoff, they're going to be some mad people in Columbus, Ohio. But yeah, I do agree that Kalen DeBoer is number 2. Now, with that ranking, you have to prove that you're the number 2 coach. We can't just have a bad year and say he's number 2. Would you agree?
I agree. I mean, you've got to back it up.
And I think we can.
Do you believe? I mean, this is the big stamp of approval. Forget about ESPN. Do you believe in Kalen DeBoer?
Yes. Yes.
That's all I need to know. If Corey's in there, I'm in there.
I think. Now, I'm not saying you have to win. We have to win every game we play this year, but I'm saying that if you can take care of the games you're supposed to win, and like make it to Atlanta and win that, if we can do that, then let the chips fall where they may, because we don't know how this 12-team playoff is going to go, because when the 14 playoff was, usually depending on if you got a good matchup or not, and then it's on to the national championship, you're playing 2 or 3 extra games, so you don't know what your draw is going to be in this playoff. This is a whole new format this year, so we don't know what it's going to be like. What kind of draw are you going to get this year? So depending on that will depend on how far you make it.
All right. Gotcha, man. Appreciate you as always, Corey. Thank you, man.
Good talk to you, Ryan. Roll Tide.
Right back to you, Corey in Trussville. We're going to Robert and Brookwood coming up in a couple of minutes. We're going to get you over to the Joe. Alabama baseball is in a little bit of a rain delay. We'll get an update from Roger coming up 5:55 on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. I do remind you about Nuke's Eatery. If you're looking for a great sandwich, California-style pizza, a great salad, 205 University Boulevard, 205-758-2455. Nuke's Eatery, close enough that you can smell the champion. G-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
This report is sponsored by Juicy Juice.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Side street accident on Skyland Boulevard southbound near McFarland Boulevard. Always something going on with McFarland. So you do have that specifically at Longview Road, but it is a crash knocking out a lane. So traffic is pretty tight in the area. Authorities on the scene. And of course, as always, we do have those logos inside the
or visit mezwins.com. I've got this.
No representations made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. Call Paul at 205-331-6823. Custom curbing for your home or business. Do away with those plastic individual stone borders. Go for that more permanent, decorative concrete border. No more grass growing between those individual stones. Cleaner to etch to maintain. They're willing to travel, not just here in Tuscaloosa, but also in our neighboring states as well over in Mississippi. Many colors and choices. They'll customize for that individual taste and house. Give them a call at 205-331-6823. You can also go to their Facebook account. Find their page. You can see exactly what the videos. They came out, did a free quote. Paul gave me an evaluation. Give them a call, 205-331-6823. Free quotes and evaluation. It is Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. Call Paul at 205-331-6823.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A warm afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds, a few scattered showers and storms are possible through the evening hours. The high today 86, the low tonight 65. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, a few scattered showers or storms are possible. The high 83. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 73 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
It's the longest running sports show in Tuscaloosa. You're listening to The Game with Ryan Fowler on Tide 100.9.
All right, we welcome you right back into the game here in Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. Let's go to Robert in Brookwood. Robert, good afternoon. You're in the game.
What's going on, brother?
I'm good, man. I hope you are as well.
Me and my wife's heading to the concert, so Riley Green and Tracy Lawrence. We're actually going to do Tracy Lawrence.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Did you know Riley Green did batting practice with the baseball team today? And one time he was a quarter. He has ties in with the state of Alabama. He was quarterback at Jacksonville State one time. You know that?
No, I did not. I knew that. I know our friend down at Big Mike's is catering for Riley Green. I mean, it's got a pretty good selection right there.
When he caters, that means he brings the food to him on his bus or at the back of his town. Do you know?
I don't know. They normally do it in that little green room that's behind, like in the meet and greet area.
Yeah, we tried that with Hank Jr. and he backed out. So.
Yeah. That's right. I remember that. And it was it weather? Was it weather or was it something else?
It was the same time. It was the same time last year, about the same late April. The weather came through.
Okay. And he just did the concert and that's it. So
it was a good concert. He just didn't do the meet and greet. They say it's optional up to the artist.
So Robert, we're asking where should Kalen DeBoer be on this list of coaches? ESPN's got him at number 2, best coach in college football. You agree with that?
Just based on 1 year or 2 years at Washington, right?
Well, in the year at Fresno.
Yeah.
2 years at Fresno.
It was earlier. Your guest was talking about he's 5-0 against Sarkisian and
he
Manning.
is. So yeah, that's right.
I'd put him there for now.
Good point. Well, he's 25-3 overall, Robert. It's pretty solid. National title appearance. He's 2-0 against Sark. I mean,
got a lot more talent to work with here. So
yeah, he's undefeated against Dan Lanning. So tell you what, when you look at him compared to the guys in this list, it's pretty solid. But hey, Robert, we're up against this break. We're going to get to Ellis in Manchester, Tennessee. Man, I appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a good one, brother.
Right back to you. Let's go to Ellis, Manchester, Tennessee. Ellis, you're the last duck through the hole. Talk to me.
Last duck through the hole. You doing all right, Ryan?
I'm good. You got any jokes for us?
No, I'm going to have to look up some jokes.
Okay. Well, you almost got me in trouble yesterday.
Yeah, I heard that today.
I mean, do you feel bad?
Ain't a bad thing.
I mean, Noah made me do push-ups out back.
How many do you have to do?
3.
Well, I can do 5 if you need me to.
He struggled to do 1.
Yeah, I mean, but I had to do like the push-ups where you don't do the whole body. You just put the knees on the ground and then do that part. So it's like a half push-up.
Okay.
So I did.
So you didn't do it with one arm and the other arm behind your back?
No, I did the clap. I did the. I was afraid.
Okay.
Yeah, like the Marines do. Yeah, I was working. All right, Ellis. Hey, do you think Kalen DeBoer is a good number?
I'm fine where he's at.
Okay.
I think Shark needs to be in top 5, though.
Well, Kalen says, hey, I beat him 2-0. Hey, we got to give these tickets away, Ellis. I always appreciate you, man.
Roll Tide, Ryan Fowler.
We got to get you over to Alabama baseball. Robert and Brookwood picks up the Travis Tritt tickets. Robert and Brookwood picking up the Travis Tritt tickets. We'll do it again tomorrow on a Brian Hart Construction Free-for-All Friday. We remind you that we call this program The Game, and the only way that you win the big game, the game of life, is to walk daily with our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Good night, T-Town.
Thank you for listening to The Game.